well too. Definitely go ahead and tweet the space out. As always, feel free. We're gonna touch up on a couple articles. I got them up in the jumbotron. Feel free to go ahead and raise your hand. Shout out to Original as always. I know Original is gonna go in on this conversation. I know y'all had to see what was trending on Twitter. Even if it wasn't trending, everybody's talking about it. You got the state of Florida sitting up here telling people that slavery was beneficial to black people because it allowed us to pick up a skill set basically. So we talking about that. We talking about the situation that's going on in Boston. Like I said, you got the title article is activists split over whether reparations should go to black immigrants. So we got to go ahead. We got a couple of newsworthy topics I want to go ahead and touch up on tonight, man. We ain't gonna waste no time. Y'all got make sure y'all go ahead and share the room. Share the room. It always helps to share the room. Get some of our people to come up in here. How is my sound, guys? I know sometimes out of Twitter Spaces, if I'm sounding okay, if I'm loud and clear, you guys can hear me. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a hand. Give me something. Let me know that hey, the audio is okay. Let me know that everything is okay. That you guys can hear me loud and clear. If not, I have to go ahead and try to do something real quick. But if you guys can hear me, Original, Monty, Robbie, if you guys hear me, okay, good, 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 good. Shout out to my people on YouTube. I see a couple of them up in the actual YouTube chat. A couple of you guys up in the YouTube chat. So let's go ahead and get ready to get up in this thing as well too. Black Mars Media, shout out to you coming up in the space as well. All right, y'all. First topic I want to touch up on is this thing about the situation that's going on in Boston right now. Like I say, you have they're setting up a reparations panel and everything up there, and you're kind of having a tiff for taff, a back and forth. Boston has has one of the largest black immigrant populations in the country, maybe even the largest, I believe the article states. So you got a lot of black immigrants that feel that hey, they're all for reparations, but they feel that they should also be included in it. And this is a very interesting article that I'm gonna touch upon. So you guys definitely listen. Check it out. What's up, Tony? I see you up in the spot as well, too. This is from the Neo Jim Crow, one of our curator partners, curating the Newstoter.com platform. Y'all make sure y'all visit Newstoter.com daily. If you're on the actual YouTube channel, guys, make sure you go ahead, like, subscribe, and share this video. Make sure you guys also click the notifications to stay up to date because you know how YouTube does, and not everybody's not aware of the actual notification. So if you're on there, make sure you go ahead and click that notification bell, like, share, and subscribe to the channel as well. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel as well. Shout out, I see DJ coming up in the space as well. So let me go ahead, man. And y'all forgive me because I went to the dentist and I got some fillings and my mouth is still kind of swole, so a little numbed up. Activists split over whether reparations should go to black immigrants. When the city announced earlier, and we're talking about Boston, when the city announced earlier this year that it would be considering giving reparations to its black residents, it was heralded as another victory in the national movement to offer compensation for the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow segregation. The city had played a key role in financing the slave trade and was a site of fierce resistance to integration. Now, advocates said it's time to address the lingering damage. But as the mayor stated, choosing members for the Boston Task Force, the city quickly became one of the chief battlegrounds of an adjacent fight playing out within the black community. Should reparations programs be limited to people who trace their ancestry back to American slavery, or should they include black immigrants who came to the country by their choice? The debate highlights tension within America's rapidly changing black community and risks fracturing a movement that is already struggling to gain mainstream acceptance. It could also shape the reach and ultimate price tag of reparation programs being developed in more than a dozen states and cities across the country. There is not going to be some kumbaya moment, said Izzy Robinson Goodnight, a Boston-based activist calling for reparations to be limited to descendants of enslaved people. We're going to have to fight. We're going to have to make a strong case, the strongest case as possible. The factions at odds over what it means to be a black American at this time when the story is rapidly changing. For most U.S. history, nearly all black Americans could trace their ancestry back to American slavery. Immigrants, less than 1% of the black population in the 1980s, now make up 10%. Between now and 2060, about a third of the growth in black population will come from the immigration from countries such as Jamaica and Ethiopia, according to the Pew Research Center. After centuries of shared history, the Black American community is increasingly diverse, and its division is showing up in attitudes about the need for reparations. According to a 2023 Washington Post survey, 75% of Black Americans think the federal government should pay reparations, including 77% of native born Black people, compared with 59% of foreign born Black people. So that's that. In that stat in itself, that's kind of strange that only 59% of foreign Black people believe that reparations should be paid out. When we talk about the nation's Black population, we have to understand it is one that is changing and becoming even more diverse than it already was, said Mark Lopez, Pew's director of race and ethnicity research. Immigrants are a big part of that story, and so the immigrant experience is a growing part of the experience of Black Americans today. It is a debate playing out across the country. A California panel has recommended billions in reparations for its Black residents, but it would exclude anyone who cannot trace their lineage in the United States back to 1900. Smaller reparation programs launched by cities in Rhode Island and Illinois have not made a distinction, and Black immigrants are able to apply. Under proposal being debated in San Francisco, descendants of enslaved Americans will be given more points than others in the formula to determine eligibility for up to $5 million in payments. In Boston, the distinction could drastically impact the reach of the panel's recommendations. Black residents make up 19% of the city's overall population, but 37% of that population is foreign-born, the highest rate of any metropolitan area in the country, according to a recent study by the Boston Foundation. Freedom perspective. For decades, activists have been calling on Boston to atone for its history of racial discrimination, from the financing of the slave trade to bulldozing of Black communities. Boston-based traders and investors were responsible for at least 307 separate slave ship trades, according to the Equal Justice Initiative, a nonprofit that traces the history of slavery. The movement was revived in 2020 after the murder of George Floyd, when activists called on local leaders to apologize for the city's racist history and establish a reparations commission. City leaders agreed for 400 years of brutal practice of enslavement, and recent policies like redlining and the busing crisis have denied Black Americans pathways to build generational wealth, secure stable housing, and live freely, Mayor Michelle Wu said in a statement announcing the reparations panel. The city soon found itself the target of loosely organized groups of activists calling themselves freedmen, waging a nationwide campaign to keep reparations program limited to the descendants of enslaved people. For the reparations movement to succeed, it can't be seen as a free-for-all for anyone in America who identifies as Black, these activists say. There should be narrowly tailored restitution plans for people whose ancestors' labor and property were stolen, they say. Freedmen activists point to data showing that Black immigrants generally fare better than the community overall. Black immigrants' households have a higher median income, $57,200, than U.S.-born Black households, $42,000, but one lower than other immigrant-led households, according to the 2022 Pew report. In Boston, the median net worth for non-immigrant Black families in the Boston area was $8, compared with $12,000 for Caribbean Black families, according to a 2015 study by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. It is like being in an emergency room and you see somebody come in with a paper cut and somebody else who's having a heart attack, said Robinson Goodnight, a Freedmen activist. Who are you actually supposed to help first? Freedmen activists are facing opposition from advocates who say the slave trade and its legacy have affected the lives of every Black person in America, no matter when their ancestors arrived, with some even calling for reparation dollars to be sent to Africa. One of the things that actually unites all African people is a right to reparation, because we are all damaged by this transatlantic slave trade and the experience of slavery, said Amilcar Shabazz, professor of history and Africana studies at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. The modern reparations movement must address the state of the 21st century America, said Yvonne Mendez, a second-generation Panamanian American. We have to deal with slavery, she said, but we also need reparations that address the issues that all Black people are facing today. As Boston officials began planning the city's reparation task force, Robinson Goodnight, then the project director for the New Democracy Coalition, a grassroots organization, lobbied for 7 of the 10 seats to go to Freedmen, including one for herself. We don't need a task force that is full of academics or politicians or people with money, she said. Her family was enslaved in Mississippi, Robinson Goodnight said, after World War II. Moved to Boston, where they threw themselves into the burgeoning black community. On a piece of notebook paper, Robinson Goodnight recently jotted down in bright blue ink the web of businesses that her family has lost over the years: a variety store, a coffee shop, a bar. At one point, they owned 10 properties around Boston, she said. There is no trace of that wealth left at the corner of Shawmut Avenue and Windsor Street, where her grandfather once owned two buildings in the 1960s. The city used eminent domain to take the properties for a highway project. It's almost 80 years since we first got here, and it feels like I'm still just fighting for my family to be here, she said. The city's historically black Roxbury neighborhood was once written off as a slum, she said, but is now attracting students from nearby Northeastern University as well as immigrants from around the globe, including many black migrants from Africa and the West Indies. Where once stood soul food restaurants and barbecue joints now stand Jamaican jerk places and Ethiopian restaurants, she said. On the ground in Roxbury, people know that their experiences are different than, say, someone who immigrated from Africa or the Caribbean, Robinson Goodnight said. As the city debated the job of its reparations committee, Robinson Goodnight put herself forward, seeking and getting nominations from other activists and local government officials. But the Freeman's agenda drew opposition from other reparation advocates. If you relegate reparations to just slavery, then you miss the mark, said Michael Curry, chief executive of the Massachusetts League of Community Health Centers and former head of the Boston NAACP. Because if you're Nigerian or a black Brazilian, you've experienced the same things: being stopped by the police, you've been denied a job, you've been denied that bank loan. This is about repositioning a whole people. In February, Wu named 10 members of the city's reparation task force to release a study on the legacy of slavery in Boston and its impact on the descendants today. Robinson Goodnight wasn't among them. So far, the newly minted commission has not taken a stance on eligibility. Joseph Feaster Jr., a Boston attorney and chair of the city's reparation commission, said that the committee still has a lot of work to do before stating to discuss which residents should be eligible for the reparations program. The issue should not be resolved by government officials, said Sagan Adu, Boston's chief of economic opportunity and inclusion. This is a huge debate within the black community itself, he said. I don't think it's appropriate for the government to make decisions about reparations and what they should be. Freeman Activity said they are not giving up. Robinson Goodnight has her sights set on legislation introduced in June to establish a statewide reparations commission in Massachusetts. Activists have also descended 2 hours west of Boston, where Floyd's death sparked multiple protests in Amherst, Mass., followed by months' call for reform in the progressive college town. In 2020, the town's council voted to end structural racism and achieve racial equity for black residents. Then the next year, it formed the Amherst African Heritage Reparation Assembly and pledged to create a fund. About 6% of Amherst's population, around 2,400 people, are black. About two-thirds of them, reparations committee members say, are students at one of the town's 3 colleges, but the city's racial disparities are stark. The median household income for black residents is $48,276 compared with $55,592 for Asian households and $65,133 for white households, according to the census data. The Bureau did not release data on Latino households. We think of ourselves as progressive community, said Michelle Miller, who spearheaded the local reparation effort, but we knew that there were slave owners in Amherst history. We knew that there were all sorts of discrimination that happened here that needed to be dealt with, the legacies of. The city has pledged $2 million so far for the panel's reparation recommendations, which are expected to be released in August. Committee members are still discussing how the funds should be used. Possibilities include providing emergency funds, housing assistance, and education scholarship for black residents, and renaming public spaces for black historical figures, but they have not seriously considered excluding the 40% of the city's black population born outside the United States, board members say. That has angered Freeman activists. This needs to be lineage-based, Jalen Conway, a Boston-based activist, said after joining December committee meeting over Zoom. If not, You would be giving away our money to immigrants who came over here willingly. We came over here forcefully because we were sold by our own people. Shabazz, the University of Massachusetts professor and member of Amherst Reparation Task Force, immediately rejected demands that the panel stop calling its program reparations unless it was limited to descendants of enslaved people. I won't back off from the word, and I'm not going to shift Shabazz, who says he can trace his ancestry back to U.S. slavery, said at one meeting, this is reparations, reparations on a local municipal level to address harms that have occurred here. Mendez, who is also a member of Amherst Reparations Committee, also resisted the Freeman's demands. While she traces her lineage outside the country, raising three black children in Amherst means constantly putting out fires, Mendez said, including worrying how her sons will be treated by the police. Once her daughter's drama teacher assigned her the monkey role in the school play. I think it was a Wizard of Oz, Mendez said. My daughter at the time was young enough not to know what the message was, but I did. So I went right down to the school and I said, anytime you got black kids in your class, none of them are going to be the monkeys. Mendez said that she learned later that another black parent had the same conversation with the teacher 2 years earlier. We all have stories in Amherst, she said. And so for me, this reparations program is about changing it for the next generation, chipping away at systematic racism we have here and creating a place where the affinity and facility as well as prosperity for people of color. Shout out to my people over there on YouTube land. Shout out to my people in YouTube land. Shout out to everybody that's up in the space tonight as well, too, guys. Yeah, we're talking about the reparations situation that's going on in Boston right now. It's nip and tuck. You got a bunch of black people. You got a bunch of Freemans up there saying that, hey, this needs to be exclusively lineage based. And then we have a bunch of black people that of immigrant status that's saying that, hey, we too go through harms in this country. We go through just as much as what you guys go through. When people look at us, they see black people, and we have to deal with life as well too. And the transatlantic slave trade affected all of us, so we also should be entitled to reparations as well too. So we're talking about that tonight. Also, we got to cover this situation going on with Florida. Florida constantly keeps pushing this thing around with the whole history and the way they're shifting it. And now all of a sudden, black people, slavery gave us a skill set. We were able to become, get us some skills because we was enslaved here in the United States. So I guess that's just another way of telling us that slavery wasn't all that bad as well. So Ron DeSantis and these rednecks here in Florida, never, ever, ever, ever stop. I know we've had spaces before. We had people come up in here and talking about they would vote Republican, no matter if Ron DeSantis' ass would come up there or not. They'll vote Republican simply because, black people formed the Republican Party 200 some years ago and all this other crazy stuff. Ron DeSantis has a complete hard on for black people. He is trying to destroy black people in Florida. And I don't care if Jesus dropped out the sky. I wouldn't vote for no damn Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is as much the damn black antichrist as there is walking this earth. Nobody should take this dude lightly here. He's a Trump wannabe, but he wants to show that he's smarter than Trump, that he's even more ruthless. To me, he's worse than anybody that they got in the field. That's just my personal opinion. Shout out to you guys, like I say, over there in YouTube land. Shout out, I see a bunch of our people up in here. Y'all go ahead and tweet the space out because I'm going to touch up on this article too from Black Enterprise about the shenanigans that they never stop ceasing to play here in the state of Florida. It just never stops. It never stops with these people here. They constantly just keep with a whole academic agenda. They just constantly keep pushing it. They're like white kids that you have to handle them with kitty gloves. And if you talk about actual American history, they're just going to melt in the sun and just fizz out or something. So what's up, DJ? What's up? What's going on? You got it.
Hey, now go ahead. Finish the articles up or whatever the case be. What's good, everybody? Share the room out and start up.
Yeah. And y'all definitely go ahead and share the room out. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna touch up on this article. It's real quick from Black Enterprise. It's up there in the Jumbotron as well, too. Matter of fact, it's the very first one on the right-hand side. DJ, I'm gonna actually go to the site and read this one here. So let me know before I start, I'm gonna check and make sure that it's a quick article too. I'm gonna make sure that the actual audio is cool. If the audio is cool, let me know, and then we'll Go ahead. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, you good. Go ahead.
Okay, this article says Florida's backwood Black history standards teach kids that slavery was beneficial. Uh, and that's up in the Jumbotron, curated by the Newstoter.com platform, published by Black Enterprise. The Florida Board of Education has reached a new low. The board recently approved a new set of standards on how educators should teach Black history in the state's public schools. CNN reports and educators are calling it a step backwards. According to the Florida Department of Education website, the new standards require middle school students Black history lessons to include how slaves developed skills in which some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. You can't, this ain't no typo. This is what these rednecks are doing here. For high school students, when it comes to lessons on massacres, the new rules state instruction includes acts of violence perpetrated against and by African Americans that includes other massacres like Atlanta, Tulsa, and the Rosewood massacres. Education and civil rights advocates like the NAACP president and CEO Derek Johnson say students should be allowed to learn history, the full truth of American history. Our children deserve nothing less than the truth, justice, and equity. Our ancestors shed blood, sweat, and tears for, Johnson said in a statement. It is imperative that we understand that the horrors of slavery and Jim Crow were a violation of human rights and represent the darkest period in American history. The Florida Education Association called the rules a disservice to students and called Governor Ron DeSantis out for his anti-woke agenda. Governor DeSantis is pursuing a political agenda guaranteed to set good people against one another, and in the process, he's cheating our kids, the president of the Florida Education Association, Andrew Spar, said, according to the Huffington Post, they deserve the full truth of American history, the good, the bad. Florida's attack on Black history has been making headlines since the beginning of the year. Months ago, the board banned advanced placement African American studies in high schools across the state, claiming the course significantly lacks education value, contradicted Florida law. Several books coordinating with those courses were banned, including works by Bell Brooks and Angela Davis. All righty, and that's where we at. And this is Florida, and Florida never stops. They nothing, especially Ron DeSantis. Like this dude, he has a serious hard on for Black people. He just never lets up one bit. Go ahead, DJ, and everybody else in the space too. Shout out to you guys up in the space tonight. Definitely come on up here. We talking, like I say, those are the two topics for the night. You heard both articles for you guys that's up in here. We talking about the situation going on in Boston. There's a significant amount of the Black immigrant population up there feels that they're just as much entitled to the reparations. It's going to be interesting to see what the actual mayor, Michelle Wu of Asian descent, how they're going to go about forming these commissions, how they're going to put Black people on there. Are they going to put any freedmen on these actual commissions as well, too? Very interesting to see how this is going to play out up there. That's the whole argument. People saying that, hey, we're Black, we're going through just as much, and they're talking about systematic racism, or we're talking about actual slavery. To me, it seems like it's a way of minimizing slavery, straight up. You're minimizing the impacts of slavery. And to me, that's just not right. And we're also talking about this situation in Florida. For those that live in Florida, for those that don't live in Florida, Ron DeSantis, remember, this is a man that, even though I think he has no chance of beating Donald Trump, this is a man that a lot of people consider voting for as the next president of the United States. He does not hide his anti-Black bias. He cannot stand Negroes. He can sit up here and he can word it, this and that, or whatever. He can have these other rednecks up here, Department of Education. Years ago, my mom worked in the Department of Education when I was a young boy. But they can sit up here and they can hide all of the actual Black vitriol they have. But it's just spewing out of this dude at this point in time right here. So we definitely, we trying to get it in tonight. And I want to hear our people come on up here, say what you got to say. Feel free to come on up here and speak. I definitely look forward to hearing everybody's opinion on this tonight. Like I said, we got a couple really nice topics that I feel that we definitely can discuss, and definitely I want to kick it around the room for those that want to come up and speak as well too. Robbie, I know you was just up here a second ago. I don't know if you dropped back down. If you want to come back up here and speak as well too, feel free to come up here and speak. I see my man Viral coming up here. So Viral, let me go ahead and get you up in here. Definitely some interesting topics tonight. Definitely. Oh, I didn't mean to hit the mute button. My bad. Definitely some interesting topics. Definitely, 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 definitely. Shout out to everybody up in the space. Shout out to my people over there and YouTube. When I get a chance, guys, I'm gonna read some of y'all articles over there in YouTube land as well. Some of your posts, excuse me, some of your posts over there in YouTube land. Viral Robbie, either one of you guys, raise your hand. You want to go ahead and speak? You raise your hand. We'll definitely get to you. Go ahead, Robbie. You got it.
Yo, tell me if you can hear me because I'm having some issues with my mic.
No, I can hear you fine.
Okay, you can hear me. All I was going to say is for the reparations in Boston, and the reason why it's important to be very specific within the parameters is because it would open up a doorway for more people to come to America and, you know, see America as a way of getting their reparations without people doing the work at home. I think everybody has to do the work at home, and I think the benefit of us crossing the goal line is it would inspire these other countries, because what goes in America goes around the world, you know, and it's not being mean-spirited. It's just it's being factual, because there wouldn't have been a place to come here had our ancestors not gone through what they went through. And then as far as Ron DeSantis, I think you're right. I mean, he's the Coke Zero version of Trump. So for that reason, since he doesn't have any charisma, he really tries to amplify his dog whistles and his white supremacy. He's willing to do anything to try to give meat to his base. And the danger of them trying to rationalize slavery goes back to the reason why they enslaved us in the first place. They came up with a narrative to rationalize it. So when they saw slaves singing in the field, they're like, oh, they're happy. You know what I mean? When they seen people subjugated and conditioned and not revolting as much and controlled by fear, they came up with these pseudoscience, you know, justifications to say we're not intelligent, this and that and the third. So if they say if you don't learn from history, you're destined to repeat it. So I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to come to a point where there needs to be hands and feet justice for some of these white supremacists. And if Ron DeSantis ever got hands and feet justice, I definitely wouldn't feel sorry for him. I'm not advocating violence, but I mean, they keep backing us in the corner. What else do they want?
Hey, real talk, real talk. And I would say this part right here about the and you know, I get what everybody's saying, but we have a lot of these black immigrants saying, and I understand that the issue that they're talking about being black, and they're also facing the systematic racism part, and I don't deny that. My thing right here is that first and foremost, before you can get to any claim in this country, there's one group that has a claim that has never been met, and that's Black Americans. So before you can do anything for anybody else, because you have done stuff for every other group, you've done things for Native Americans, you've done things for the Japanese Americans. And the funny thing is, when you did do something for the Japanese Americans, you didn't say, you know, every Asian that was in the country, we're going to go ahead and we're going to include you in this, even though you weren't in these concentration camps we had here in America. You didn't say, well, you know what? You're of Chinese descent, you're of Korean descent, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to include you in this as well, even though it had nothing to do with you. So that's the issue I'm having with this as well, too. You know, slavery is a debt that's owed to a group of people. You can't sit here and say that you've been through everything that Black Americans have. You talk about a group of people that's been through every single solitary thing in this country. Based off of the stats, you know, 1% of the actual immigrant population was here in the 1980s. You guys came here in the 1980s later. I'm not saying that you're not owed something. Fine. You know, you can definitely get that. But that's not part of this claim right here. You know, what you're talking about is not part of what Black Americans are talking about. You're talking about people that were split up and the families is destroyed and everything else. The wage gap, the salary, the actual wealth income disparity we have in this country all stems back from slavery. And you weren't even in the country. You're not a descendant of the people that were in the country. So I believe that's unreasonable and unfair. And I think if you're really a fair-minded person, you would sit up here and you would say, hey, you know what? Our people didn't go through that. So no, we should not be included in this right here. Yeah, we feel we have a claim against the United States of America because, you know, we're getting treated like this and that because of systematic racism, whatever. But that has nothing to do with this claim whatsoever right here. This is simply for the descendants of chattel slavery, and nobody should be upset or feel a certain way about it. You can sit up here and say that how your daughter was felt and this and that, but for somebody to be a second generation Panamanian, and you're sitting up here saying that, hey, that you're entitled to reparations what Black Americans went through, to me is just idiotic. You're talking about people that built this country and built it for free and went through every little horror that was imaginable. That is crazy. That is, I mean, what are we talking about here? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And to sit here and say that the transatlantic slave trade affected us all the same way is nonsense. It's completely nonsense. You were not a slave on it. You may have been a slave in North America on another land, on another landmass, but you were not a slave in the United States of America. So no, the transatlantic slave trade in the United States has not affected us all the same way. That is, you know, that's make believe. You know, that's something that's something that you can tell a child, and maybe they may not have the grasp or understanding of saying what you're saying. But when you're telling another grown person something like this, that's complete nonsense. That's like almost saying believing in pixie dust or something. It's idiotic to even try to compare the two. Nobody's talking about trying to downplay what you went through, what your people went through in Panama. But what your people went through in Panama doesn't have anything to do with what Black Americans went through in America. Simply put, you guys migrated to America for a better life. Okay. At the same time, let's honestly, and this is you have to put this out there as well too. For all of the ills that you face with systematic racism coming to this country as a Black immigrant, you have to remember one thing as well. You've also benefited off the Black American struggle. You benefit, you know, you have benefited from going to HBCUs. You've benefited from programs that was set aside strictly for Black Americans. You've benefited for all of the work and everything, the sweat that Black Americans in this country had to go through. You have benefited from it. Even though, yeah, the country's not fair, and yeah, you are experiencing racism, you have benefited off of the Black American struggle. So that is the issue right there. This hit and the civil rights movement and all that other stuff, which meant for Black people, had to be sliced and diced up. And now we're talking about slicing and dicing up something else once again. Something that has nothing to do with, anytime something is solely for Black Americans, it has to be divided up amongst everybody. So no, that is totally unfair. And I would hope that we have some sensible Black immigrants out there, descendants of Black immigrants, who say, you know what, we have our own reparation fights in our own native land as well too. Let's allow our Black American brothers and sisters here in America to get theirs, because if anybody in this country deserves it, it's them. Let me go ahead and get to DJ. I know you had your hand up, but we'll kick it around. Let me get to viral. I see we got original, and we got Brooke up in here as well too. So let's go ahead and move it around. What's going on, viral? How you doing? You there, viral? Let me see. Let's try again. Viral me. I don't know if he's there. Viral, can you hear me? He's got his hand up, but I'm not sure if he's there. Let me try one more time. Viral, are you there?
Yeah, he could have stepped out. I know he's taking care of a family member right now. Could have stepped out.
Okay. Well, then we'll come back to him. I'll circle this spot and we'll come back to him. Original, Brooke, I'm not sure which one you guys had your hand up first.
Brooke was first. She had her hand up first.
Okay. What's going on, Miss Brooke?
Hello?
Hey, what's up, Brooke?
Hey, everybody. How you guys doing today?
We're doing good.
Doing pretty good. Thank you, Viral. I wasn't sure either. I was just going to let you go first. So thank you. I appreciate it. I just wanted to, I've been waiting for this subject to come up. I'm so excited that you guys are talking about this. So there actually is a freedmen group out of Boston, something they're called like Repair Action, something or other. I don't know. But they're a really cool little group, very well organized. And I'm going to look it up. I'm driving right now. But when I get to a steady place, I'm going to send you the information so that we can all support them and let them know that we have their back. As far as immigrants wanting some American reparations, I recently found out from an immigrant this last week. She said that a lot of the Caribbean islands were still enslaved in the early 1920s, that they weren't even released or, figuratively freed, right, emancipated from slavery until the 1920s. And so I'm just like, oh, they don't even know. When you hear people say things like what the gentleman said about, it affected us the same way, those are colonizer statements. And maybe it's time we start calling out those colonizer statements and letting people know, hey, you've been listening to the white man. And because you're listening to the white man, we're not going to listen to you. And that's how it's going to be. Because we can only depend on ourselves. And since you guys seem to want to take the white man's word as truth, we're going to leave you right here and we're going to say, thank you, bye-bye. And I land my plane. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brooke. I think that's real dangerous the way you got people sitting up here saying stuff that, you're just totally erasing history right here. Now, I understand that you want to go ahead and you want to say that you've gone through the same things that Black people have, but you got to remember that Black people haven't just started going through this stuff in the past 40 years, that like so many of our immigrant brothers and sisters who've moved to this country. You talk about somebody going through this stuff for hundreds of years, going through this before this country was even founded, after it was founded, after the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II, Korean War, the War of 1812. I mean, going through, all of this stuff, yeah, and just sit up here and just to totally erase that and say, well, basically we're no different than each other, like that. Come on, now you're just talking about color, and you are downplaying the actual history and the lineage and the heritage of what people actually experience in this country. Now you're downplaying it, and to me, that is an insultful type thing right there. Now because we would never, people would not go to your homeland and sit up there and just totally downgrade your history and your experiences and everything else, your culture, to sit up here and just to downplay that and act like basically these issues just took place over the past 40 years or the past 50 years. That's just really disrespectful. Let me go ahead and kick it to Original. Original, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Peace, Black Power, and lineage-based reparations. Okay, I'm in full agreement with Brooke. We have to effectively communicate with our Boston brothers and sisters, and we have to support them as much as we can, financially and otherwise. Because, see, here's the issue now. You got these Black immigrants who came here who knows when, claiming that they have suffered the same as us. That is not true. Now, let's not forget, see, back as I said before, back in the 1990s, the Caribbeans formed CARICOM, and they did not include Black Americans with CARICOM, but we supported them and wished them well on collecting what is owed to them from the Caribbean. But you are not a part of us. You are not owed anything here. And even there has been, video documentation showing how when these people from the Caribbean and other places, when they come here, they don't live amongst us. They develop their own churches, their own communities. They act as if we don't exist. They're not, for the most part, I'm not going to say all of them, but I say by and large, they're not Black until they get in trouble. So they know how we will put that work in, and we will get some semblance of justice. That's when they become Black. Just, you all remember the Nigerian that was murdered down in Florida. Then his family reached out to the Black community. Black community said, wait a minute, your family member has been saying some pejorative things about us. And they said, well, yeah, but we're not all like that. Further research was conducted. Found out that other family members were saying the same thing about us. So we need to make sure we cannot assume that our people in Boston will bring this information up, but we need to make sure that they are aware and that they can use this to their advantage. And see, I have a cousin, as I mentioned before, he's a retired engineer. And my cousin said that he worked with these, it was a Ghanaian, Nigerian, and a Kenyan, and a Jamaican. He said he worked with these people from some of them for 8 to 10 years. But when these Africans came there, they, didn't want to have anything to do with the Black American. So they started, riding their back. So what they tell you about us? And eventually they all broke and said that they told us to stay away from you Negroes. See, a lot of this has to do with divide and conquer. And they're using these Black immigrants to try to disrupt our reparations fight, our lineage-based reparations fight. That's what this is all about. And when you look at some of these immigrants, it's like, well, wait a minute, okay, so now all of a sudden you want to be Black. Now all of a sudden you want to say that you have suffered the same as we have. No, if you suffered that much, then you need to start your fight in your country of origin. Yes, if they was born here, I would say that they may be viewed as being Black, but that is not the same. That is not the same as us. And so people need to see. And the sad part about it is, they are so all they're looking for is a check. That's all they're looking for. They just want some money, because see, by them coming here, that is a come up for them already. Even just like, and this same cousin who told me about the Nigerian, about these Black immigrants that he worked with, but he knew Botham John, the guy that was shot by the police officer in Texas, and he said Botham wasn't about being around Black folk, and he's from the Caribbean. So this has to be really discussed, because see, they've separated themselves from us, but now all of a sudden that we're putting that work in and making things happen, now all of a sudden they want to act as if we have the same background, and we do not. They may have experienced some racism or whatever, but that is totally different than being a descendant of the people who was enslaved in this country. And so, see, if they really, cared about us, or they cared about this process, they would be working, with us and understanding that, okay, we know we're not the descendants of the enslaved, and it may be possible there could be like something done with the what happened during Jim Crow and whatever. But what we're talking about right now is what we are owed as a demographic of people. We're not talking about everybody else needs to be included. And basically they're just looking for a check, and once they get that check, they're gonna show us again just how much they do not give a damn about us. Now, I hate to say that, but that's how, that has been the perception that how they have been acting towards us. And so people need to understand, we don't hate you. You are not our enemy. But you need to understand, you need to stay out of our fight. Just because you look like us does not make you one of us. See, I just saw a video of, it was a sister, and they was talking about something. And see, here we go again. This guy who looked Black in the video, he said, I'm not Black, I'm Honduran. You see, we can't work with that. You can't be Black when you want to check, but then you are whatever flag you want to wave when you don't want to identify with us. And let's not forget when Jesse Smollett, when he did what he did, and they identified those two guys as Nigerian, they was online saying, why you gotta say they're Nigerian? Because they are. See, when they do some really jacked up stuff, they don't They don't want to wave their flag. They want to just be black, and they want us to absorb that negativity. No, we're no longer in that business. You're gonna have to do that on your own. But see, if you were willing to work with us, it would be a different issue. And then and then you got some of them who are getting elected into political positions. They're not working in our best interest. You got this guy, he's out of New York. I can't think of his name. It's Antonio, or he was a former rapper. DJ may know who I'm talking about. But anyway, they do not run on a platform that would benefit us. But yet, when now that reparations is a hot ticket item, all of a sudden, they think because they have the same skin as we do, that they are included. No, we are not in that business. We are not in that business any longer. We have tried to interact with a lot of these people. Even for decades, I can remember hearing people from the Caribbean and all saying, "Well, I'm not black. I'm Jamaican. I'm not black. I'm from Bermuda." Let me tell you something. When I worked at Hughes Aircraft in California, so this one sister that worked with me, I told her I was going to take her to lunch, and she kept handing me to take her to lunch. I said, "Okay, I'm going to take you to lunch." We got out to lunch, and she told me, she said, now she was from Bermuda, one of those islands. I think it was Bermuda. And she told me, she said, "I'm not black, I'm British." I'm like, you know what? It's time to go back to the office. I never asked her out for lunch again. I mean, this is how these people operate. They don't see themselves as being a part of us unless there's an economic benefit in there for them, and that's just being real. But I'm not gonna hog up all the time. And as far as Dudu Santos goes, I mean, this piece of excrement. I mean, if people can't see what this thing is, I don't know what to tell people, because and people need to understand too. It is regardless of what the curriculum is in schools across this country. You need to have a library in your home teaching your children about who they are, instead of having your children coming home every day watching cartoons or getting up on Saturday morning. Well, there's the most Saturday morning cartoon. It's on something else. But on Saturdays and even Sundays, you should be studying with your children, teaching them at least for a couple of hours, teaching them who they are and what is expected of them. It's unfortunate that a lot of too many parents, they're not being responsible with their children's education. Yes, they have to go to school, but education begins at home, and people need to understand that. But I would say to you, Black immigrants, you all need to understand that we have gone through far more than what you have, and since we are not, and we got to make sure that our people in Boston bring up that CARICOM issue, and let this mayor know. Say, look, they have their own reparations fight. We're not included in that. And see, and the way some of this history has been said, they said that they took the enslaved people to the Caribbean to break them before they brought them to America, according to some people. But yet, you still do not see them including us with CARICOM. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I'll land on that.
All right. Thank you, Original. Thank you. Real quick, before I get to trouble, guys, check up in the Jumbotron on the left, on the right-hand side. We have the YouTube channel up in there. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. For everybody that's on YouTube, make sure you guys go ahead and share this broadcast out tonight. Make sure you share the broadcast. Make sure you click the notification bell as well, too. Like the actual video. Like the video as well, too. For those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today. Once again, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today. $Newstoter, Newstoter. If you do not have a Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron as well, too. We have the PayPal and Venmo up in the Jumbotron as well. For those that's on YouTube, The PayPal, Venmo, and the Cash App is all in the description as well too. So definitely for those that can support us. And also the content tonight, all of this is coming directly off of newstoter.com. Make sure you guys visit newstoter.com daily to stay up to date on breaking Black news in America. Make sure you visit newstoter.com daily. That is newstoter.com to stay up to date with the latest content and everything that's going on in Black America, whether that's news, politics, education, lifestyle, culture, entertainment. Newstoter.com is the ultimate curator of everything Black. Let me go ahead and get to you, Trouble. Trouble, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Newstoter, I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
No, I'm doing good.
That's good to hear. Shout out to the Black family in the room tonight. I hope everybody is doing well. The Boston reparations. So I'm actually making some travel plans to go up to Boston now. My dad is back in the hospital since his kidney transplant a few weeks ago, and so things not going that great. So I got to make my way back up that way, and I used to live there. From what I understand, when they first formed their task force, there was a high school student, or at least a young person, I think he was of Jamaican descent, that was on the task force. So number one, I didn't understand why they had someone, not to say that young folks can't, discern the information, but I just thought the makeup of their whole committee was a little bit suspect to begin with. So if I'm honest, I didn't really expect it to go in our favor directly. And I wonder sometimes if the Black class of immigrants realize how their actions harm us in the sense of them even considering immigrants into the reparations movement. From what I remember from living in Boston, I had some good experience, but I had more negative experiences with Blacks from all across the lands. There was so many from different parts of the land. I mean, I hear you all use the tether class word a lot, and if ever there was a city that was full of that would be Boston. And they always say Boston is New York's little sister, so there's that. They stay to themselves. They're always, like Original said, they separated themselves. It wasn't us who separated ourselves from them, because the majority of us have always had a natural curiosity about other Black folks from other nations. So by you separating yourselves when you come here, you've already decided that you weren't Black like the original people of the land. And so with that thought process, how good to us do we expect them to be in this fight for reparations? Because it's sort of a you got to get yours, I've got to get mine type mindset. And so they've always been about getting the benefits or whatever it is that they can get exclusively for their own set of people. And when it comes to this reparation thing, that's no different. Their main goals is to make sure that if we can get things on the basis of being Black, no matter how harmful it is to Black Americans, then we're going to get it. And damn what they say, damn what they think. Because the reason why the majority of them come here is for the better opportunities, is to escape the hell that's going on their lands. Regardless of who caused the hell going on there in their lands, they're able to come here and reap certain benefits. So my thing is, we need to really get out of the mindset of the whys. The whys doesn't matter at this point. We should really just embrace the knowledge that they're here for themselves. What happens, I don't even know if they know that they're being used in that sense, because in order to know that you're being used, you have to care, or maybe you don't. I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. My mind's so frazzled right now with all of the different shit I got going on. So this is just annoying to me. But it's like they, in one instance, on a legal aspect, white folks are saying we can't do anything race-based. And we all know that that's bullshit, because the Asians got what they got. That's race-based. Every other group gets what they get. that's race-based. When you look at the organizations that are out here, you have Hispanic organizations that advocate specifically for Hispanic people, Asian organizations that's advocating specifically for their people, Haitians, Jamaicans, African organizations, all specifically getting things just for their people. Black Americans cannot go to any of these organizations and reap any of the benefits that the government gives to these specific organizations that's based on their race and ethnicity or whatever, and get anything. There are no Black American organizations that just includes Black Americans. Everybody is entitled to whatever. Even if we had an organization, everybody is entitled to what we get. So, but if it's not based on race, if we can't get anything based on race, especially when it comes to reparations, then any immigrant coming into it would automatically thwart those reparations. So it has to be lineage based. But that's why they're allowing them to come in and head up these organizations, head up these reparations committee, because they know automatically they're going to try to insert themselves in there some way, somehow, which is going to negate it off the bat. So it's not a matter of, I don't know. I just think we need to kind of shift our mindset. It's time to be a little bit more selfish and not feel any ways about it, because it's okay for everybody else to be on some, I got to get yours, I got to get mine. But then we're looked at as being divisive or not being inclusive. And who says that being that way is a bad thing? Because it isn't a bad thing for everybody else. It's only a bad thing when it comes to us, because everybody is used to making their financial rounds off of us. And I've said it a million times, and I'll say it again: they don't eat if we don't feed them. They're in our communities. The majority of the people who's going to them and spending their money is us. So if we're not feeding them, they can't eat. And they're not trying, nobody is trying to let that go. The white man, he's not trying to let that go. The other nations, they're not trying to let that go. So everybody is going to get together and collude to get food. The main class of people who is spending the most money within these things. Me and my husband was just talking about it earlier, because I was frustrated about the business down the street and the tactics that they've been employing to get people to continually come into that business, when I'm trying to talk to the people in my community about not shopping there. But one thing that he said that was true, we're surrounded. We are surrounded by all of these different motherfuckers, and they pretty much got us locked in. The people in the area, they can't get on the bus just to go all the way across town to shop, and the people who drive don't want to spend the gas money, because you waste more money in gas than you will saving money to go across town and shop at the specific Black-owned businesses. So if you don't have a vehicle, you got to get on one bus to get to the bus station, to get on 2 or 3 other buses to get to where you need to go. So that's time, that's money, that's energy to be carrying those groceries back home on the bus, or to go to a convenience store, to go wherever to shop. But all of the spots in our communities are foreign owned. But I'll go up the street and give it to the white man. But hell, I'm still giving it to the white man. So we're locked in. We're they got their nuts on our necks, so to speak. That's how he put it. So that's how I'm saying. And it's really becoming just mind-boggling. I've been trying not to think about this stuff lately, because it's, Sister No Taxation said something the other night in the space that was true. You have all of these different things going on, and you can't see any light of day. So you have to put your, mind on some more positive things, so that you don't get so drenched down, because I know how my spirit goes. But I'm going to go ahead and flow, because I'm getting emotional, and I'm a little bit pissed. But I'll come back to the mic later.
All right, Trouble, and definitely keep your head up. Definitely, I know you, like you say, you have some issues with your father as well too. So don't let this stuff, only control you. Don't get upset over stuff that you can't control. So just go ahead and definitely focus on your family and your father at this point in time as well too. So thank you for coming up to speak tonight. Let me go ahead and get to Robbie. Robbie, go ahead and unmute your mic. You're a little bit low now, Robbie.
Okay, hang on. All right, am I better now?
Yeah, you better now.
Okay, yeah, all I was going to say is this is the best metaphor that I know how to use that I came up with in another space. Let's say you decide to throw a house party. It's not even for family members, it's for some of your friends. And before you know it, people start inviting other people. So the people who initially show up, they understand that it's your house, that you paid a mortgage, and that you're just being friendly, inviting them in. But once more and more people, pull up to the address, it'll get to a point where nobody appreciates the doorman. People overlook the person who's welcoming them in. If you start pouring drinks or fixing plates or showing hospitality, after a while people will look down on you because, again, they didn't get the invite directly from you. They got the invite from some of their family members or some of their friends. So it gets to a point where they just start feeling themselves and they're like, well, shoot, everybody in here is partying and eating up the resources. And, I don't have to remember who's the person who made it possible for me to even be a part of this party and share the resources. And I just think that's all this is. This is just a reminder for us of what we've done to make other people welcome and to pave the way. It's not to suggest that we're better. It's to say that there needs to be respect. And there has been lack of respect to the point where people start practicing politics that goes against our own, best interests. So now not only are you an uninvited guest, because I didn't initially invite you, somebody else did, so I didn't get a chance to vet you. Now you're going around telling people you built the house. Now you're over here, trying to sell the house. You're willing to be a sellout. And I think that that's the best metaphor I know to use, and I land my plane there.
All right. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to and just to get on your point, Trouble, what you were saying about getting a little bit selfish and stuff like that. I think you you have the actual Freeman up there in Boston. They are trying to they're trying to lock it down for the actual descendants of chattel slavery. So that they're not hesitating to let you know that, hey, this needs to be lineage based. So they're doing just that. They're standing their ground and they're letting people know. Now, you did have the brother who was a Shabazz, I believe, that was reading it. That was one of the organizations. Now he can trace his lineage back to American chattel slavery, but he said that everybody needs to get it. So that's the issue you have sometimes. You have somebody who may actually be an actual descendant of American chattel slavery, but he's saying, hey, you know what? Everybody needs to be entitled to this as well, too. So that's the issue that you're having. Let me go ahead and get to Rella. Rella, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter. Hey, DJ.
Hey, what's up, Rella?
Hey, how's everybody doing? That's Wasabi.
We're doing good.
What up?
Thank you. So I honestly I feel like trouble. That's why I kind of had to look at everything that's been going on. It's almost as if they keep making us trying to push us pretty much into erasure, like you said earlier, to the point where we want to give up. We get tired, and I think that's what's happening. They're looking to see how far they can cause us to give up. If we, give so much pushback, we don't come up, don't show up, don't fight, to the point where we look at our surroundings and we're like, we're in a desperation mode, so we don't fight. And Boston Reparations is pretty much a tall tale sign of what happens if we're not the ones that are actually in charge. And it's crazy when you think about it's soy sauce, honey. When you think about my phone's throwing me off. When you're thinking about what happened with California, I'm glad California was able to get to the end, but what showed me was the people who were part of the Reparations Commission, even people who are Americans who believe in Pan-Africanism, can be a huge problem. They can be a hindrance even to our detriment, because they will try to champion everyone under the sound of our oppression. You're welcome. motherfucking money. And so it's crazy. And then when you look at immigration, Ron DeSantis is a first generation American. His parents were immigrants. He was championing this, slavery was a benefit. Now they want to, all of a sudden, he wants to talk about freedom of speech and cancel culture because Jason Aldean decided he wanted to put out a song talking about, try this in a small town. So they can sing about, create music about domestic terrorism, at the same time championing immigration. But then when we start talking about reparative justice, things that do not harm other people, immigrants and white Americans and Americans who are practicing white supremacy ideology, like the Viveks and Marjorie Taylor Greene and all of the likes, Tuberville, we can think about all of them. And you put them in the lane of, these are people who are dangerous. This is what I would call not even a soft domestic terrorism attack. This would be, to me, a medium terrorist attack on a psychological and a economic standpoint. And they are a problem. And we do need to call that out. I think we stayed too long. We stayed too long in other areas of sociology or communication, talking about relationships, Kevin Samuels, and all these other things, and even to the point where we didn't even get on the front lines, on the ground, to get in front of these people. We should have saw these people coming a mile away in this generation, but we're not in those communities, and we need to make Americans who vote these people in office, people who decided they want to champion the white supremacist talking points, we need to make them feel ashamed. They need to crawl back under a rock. That's how bad it should be. And we should be definitely pushing for Black majority states in regards to our politics. I heard Rashad Perry, I think is his last name, interviewing the lady down in Georgia who switched to being a Republican. And he was so disrespectful to her because a few things that she voted for he didn't like, but for the majority, she still holds to some of her politics as she was a Democrat. She just believes in doing more tangible things. And she believes that she'll get more support being a Republican, and that's her right as an American. That's her right to move between parties. But you have people, even with larger platforms, who demonize you. They demonize you for wanting to try a different formula in our country. They demonize you for saying you are not like other melanated people. The Urban League, Mark Morrell, I think that's his last name. He's talking about you got the ADOS out here wanting to be a different, cause division amongst Black people. Talking about lineage and the descendants as if slavery didn't happen in the Caribbean. Well, if we were having a discussion about slavery in the Caribbean, that's one thing. But we're talking about reparations in the United States for the descendants. And these are the things that I'm talking about. These people are dangerous. Slavery was not beneficial for the Negro, for the descendants. Because if it had been, even the people who were free, who had bought their families, they would be in a position of wealth for buying their families out of bondage, and they weren't. Their lands were even stolen from them. Those family sharecroppers' homes, even from the free people, they told them they couldn't even pass down their lands to their lineage. There were laws on the books still to this day. So when I hear people use those domestic terrorist talking points, we need to start calling it what it is. That is a national threat. It is a genocide. And we need to say that every time we talk to these people. I have conversation with you, but you're not going to be a domestic terrorist in my conversation or a sympathizer. And I ran.
Hey, real quick, Rel, I want to ask you, did you hear about the situation going on in Florida about the Department of Education? And I don't know, were you in the space when I was reading that actual article and they were talking about how slavery was basically beneficial to black people, certain parts of it, because it taught us a skill?
Yes. I even saw the article where Ron DeSantis was actually, that's what I was saying, where he was, that's how I heard it. So I missed you reading it because I was in the store and I was trying to listen. But I saw the article where he even himself is now trying to come out and talk about he wants to make sure that Black history is taught, that slavery was beneficial. He is dangerous. The people in Florida who are in positions of authority, they are dangerous. And I'm wondering why Floridians, and this is where I take, I have a problem with people in all of our areas where we are not putting ourselves up to run in these positions against these people to get them out of office. Immigrants have overtaken the country, even in positions of authority. And we've allowed it because for some reason we don't control certain populations. We're not heavy in, we're too spread out. And then at the same time, we allow these people to get on their platforms and be domestic terrorists in their language. They're writing bills to stop us from stop other Americans from reparative justice. You understand what I'm saying? And no one is like, and they're okay with that. Slavery was beneficial. Who would put even those two words together?
Don't forget that Florida is redneck ran and owned as well too. So, even though we got a lot of Cubans and stuff down here, whatever, the people that make up the vast majority of those people in politics in this state are still good old boys. So, and let's not even get to the Cubans also side with them as well too. So Florida is completely still. People forget about Florida because they think about Miami and stuff, but Florida is old Dixie. Like, yeah, we got a bunch of Northerners in South Florida, and we got a bunch of island people throughout the state as well. But Florida is you got 67 counties in Florida, and I would imagine that at least out of those 67 counties, at least 59, anywhere from 58 to 60 of them are still red leaning counties. So Florida, like we had that space before when we had Arthur and them in here. We had the cat from up in Chicago, and they was talking about, well, you got to vote Republican regardless. And I'm telling them about DeSantis, and he talking about, well, it don't matter. Like, yeah, the hell it does matter. If you think Biden was bad enough and this and that, you put Ron DeSantis, let Ron DeSantis become the president of the United States. And I can see the kind of nonsense that he would be up here pushing. He's been trying, like I said before, he's been trying to eradicate and gentrify the black vote here in Florida. So he would just do it on a national level. This dude, he's taking these black voting districts and he's trying to go ahead and purge them out of existence as much as possible. So Ron DeSantis, put him in the White House and see the kind of destruction he would do.
Yeah, people, I've seen a lot of Black conservatives champion Ron DeSantis because he's quote unquote said that he's against immigration. But it's funny how he says he's against immigration. See, I watch what people do. But forget what you say. I'm watching what you do. Ron DeSantis started that Cuban, I think, organization where they get particular resources. They're able to even have, I think, like recognition down in Florida where they're recognized. They have like a whole not like a fiesta, but they have like a whole day or something like that. And he is a supporter of that because, again, you have to realize you got people who have a benefit in the game of immigration, and Republicans that are in office today I call them like the sleeper cells, because they'll tell you, oh, I'm against immigration, and I'm against immigration while they're married to immigrants. Their state and locale is majority immigrant, and they bank on the votes. That's why they can get Latinos to be Republicans, because Latinos share the same sentiment, and the Latino population that comes in is looking for that validation as a citizen. So if they can get the validation as a citizen for someone who claims to whiteness, then they now can secure their position in society. And that's what they want. Ron DeSantis and his family did the same exact thing. And the crazy part is that as I'm looking at the article, they're talking about how they want to claim that slavery was a benefit because it helped get America useful skills. And it's funny how it gave us useful skills, but they failed to hire Black Americans who are descendants in positions that matter on an economic scale. If we pull Florida statistics for Black Americans in their job, poverty, population count, Ron DeSantis would be the worst, and he is. And that's why I'm telling people that you need to be mindful. You can be against immigration, but you need to be mindful that you are not having somebody come in and slit your throat just to spite your face, because you want to make a point that you're against immigration. I'm not going to vote for nobody who would be willing to take me down while they're trying to get people who aren't from this country out of here. No, sir. No. Because the truth be told, they're not even supposed to be in position. There should have been a law that said if you are first generation American, you cannot serve in any position in government. And you need to be vetted. And that would knock so many people who claim whiteness out of the pocket. If you are a descendant of a slave owning family, you cannot serve in any position in government. That should have been off the top. But do the Democrats focus on that? No, they don't. No, they don't. Because again, if we were really talking about what's beneficial, then we would be opening up so many Pandora's boxes. People be telling on themselves.
Okay, this is off topic, but I gotta say this. It's completely off topic. But a second ago, I just kicked the dude up out of the space because I was just looking who was up in the space, and I checked this cat named Ken Davis is up in the space. So I don't never remember seeing this cat up in. So I clicked on his profile. How about this Negro has me blocked, but he's sitting up in the damn Twitter space? Like, how is that even possible? How are you gonna block somebody and then you sitting up in their Twitter space? So I just went ahead and blocked this Negro and kicked them out. Like, who? I mean, you talking about the most beta type moves. You got somebody blocked, but you sitting up in their Twitter space. Like,
so they can still they still allow you to be
that's beta. That's beta. I would say something else, but there's some women up in here, but I would really say something else. Negro, please, you sitting up in my damn space and you got me blocked. Like, I mean, what is? Go ahead, Original. Go ahead.
Hey, you want me to Alexander O'Neal him, bro?
Like this Negro. I already kicked him out. I saw that and I blocked the nigga and threw him up out of here. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to understand, like, what? Viral, go ahead. I know you was up in the space. You said you had a phone call, so go ahead, man. You got it.
Yeah, thanks for letting me speak. Shout out to the chat and the space. Oh my God, please get down. Sorry about that. Ron DeSantis, yeah. All of the above was told this guy is really terrible. He's trying to
he reminds me of Bill Clinton back in the day, where he tried to go even extreme on black people than Republicans. And it seems like he's trying to go even further than Trump with them things. I don't care about what I don't. Sorry about that. I don't care about what policy he put in place for these immigrants. He is just no good for black people. What he called Florida, the state where woke goes to die. That's a dog. I know the Democrat co-op is woke, but that's a dog. Ron DeSantis getting office, you could already see the things he's doing down in Florida. I'm paying attention to what's going down in Florida with him, with all this CRT. No, I don't give a damn about his immigration policy. He is bad news. He is worse than the one that's in office now, which they real close together for real. And he's definitely worse than the Cheddar Man. And this is going on in Boston, but we've been seeing this for a while. I want to quote Dr. John, not Dr. Claude Anderson, where if you don't think black folks should receive reparations, close your mouth and sit your anus down. I really do believe that if they would just shut up and back us on this, it would open up a floodgate for the Caribbean, for the United Kingdom, everybody over in there, and even including states in Africa. With the countries in Africa, what it would do is allow them to reap the benefits of the resources in that continent. And I wouldn't even call that reparations. That's just giving them what they do. Stop going against what we're doing here. It will benefit all of us. Thank you for letting me speak, Newstoter.
All right. Thank you, Viral. I believe it's original. Original. I know you in trouble. I'm not sure which one had their hand up, but Brooke, real quick, Brooke saying that she doesn't see anybody in the chat over there. DJ, I don't know. Go over there because I see people in the chat and stuff. But Brooke saying that the chat is gone or whatever in YouTube, but I see people over there in the chat. So I don't know what if it may be an issue on her end or whatever, but I see people still up over there. But go ahead, original.
Yes, what Rella said about Mark Morial. See, here is how insane these people are. Oh, let me say this to Rella. Rashad Ritchie, and basically, for the most part, all of those people at that radio station, they're nothing but Democratic shields. That's basically what they are. There's one guy on that station. I don't really listen to it like I used to. His name is Robert Patillo. He has more of a balanced perspective. But Rashad and the rest of those people, they straight up Democratic shields. So I would expect that from them. Okay? But check this out though, Rella, and this is why and I understand trouble is going through talk about tongue. She's going through some issues with her family, but if not her or somebody else, we have to make sure the people in Boston have information like this, and you can pull this up. Mark Morial, who has talked about ADOS, check this out, people. He got this organization, and it's an upcoming event, College Planning with NAAHP, focused on the College Business Thursday, July the 27th, 2023. Learn more. You know what that is? It's the National Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals. Now, how is it? I don't know. I got to do some digging and find out what this boy's background is. He may be part Haitian or whatever. But see, here's the issue. They can go out here and do all this stuff for other black demographics. But see, it is something about us, the descendants of chattel slavery in America. It is something about us. And this is why I always try to specify by using ADOS or say U.S. descendants of chattel slavery to make sure that I delineate from those other people. Because we have a fight on our hand. And see, and here's the other issue. We have some of our brothers and sisters in Mississippi. It says farm settle suit on using immigrants over black workers. Out in Mississippi, these people, our people in Mississippi, they just won a lawsuit whereby these farmers, which are in Mississippi is a Republican state. Let's remember that now. But these farmers, they were bringing these illegal aliens or immigrants, whatever you want to call them, over here, and they were paying them more than they were paying our people. And so when you read that earlier Newstoter about these other households making more than black Americans, it's in the process that they would do that. They would pay us as less as possible and pay other people more. This is their get down. This is how they operate. But you can't tell some of these people that, like these Democratic Shield at their station with Rashad Ritchie, but they straight up Democratic Shield over there. That's why I don't even listen no more. They don't. When people call in with an opposing viewpoint, I heard some of what the lady was saying this morning, and you're right. He basically attacked her. That's what he did. But he's got an old arrogant attitude. I don't pay him, but he tried to come down and he's a big time Jesus stomper and everything else, you know. So I don't pay them any attention. But he's on a totally different pathway than I am, so I don't pay any attention. But what we have to do as a demographic, we have to begin to organize and make sure that, and don't just assume that wherever the fight is, like the fight is in Boston right now. We cannot just assume that our people in Boston know all this information. We have to somehow, if anyone can let me know how I can contact them, I will get them this information so that they can use this information to fight that battle. We have to circle the wagon. We have to do what all these other groups are doing. They will come together and attack us, these other black demographics. But when they get in trouble, when the system attacks them, they want to run to us because they know that we know the terrain better than they do, and we know how to get in and get things done. Because we have some of our own that will attack us. Like, I got to look up Mark Murrell's background and see where he's from. Because when I found out about this is just insane. That we're sitting up here allowing other people to feel comfortable that they can come out and speak on our behalf. No, that has to be shut down, and it has to be shut down as quickly as possible. So if anyone knows of a website that our people in Boston has, or if you know someone, whether you have an email, preferably a phone number, but some way of contacting them, we need to get them this information about CARICOM, about this National Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals. Now, see, again, these people are saying that they are black when they want to pull resources from us. But then they are Haitian or Jamaican or whatever when they just want to get stuff for themselves. So if they are black like us, why do they have this organization, this Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals? What's up with that? There is something wrong with this picture. And the problem is we've allowed these people to do this for so long, they feel like they're not obligated to us except for anything that we get for ourselves. That's what it is. So I'm going to land with that. So if someone has any information on how we can contact these people, please let me know, because I want to make sure that they have this so that they can show it to the people up there and they can prove as to why reparation, this right here is for the lineage of the Haitian people. So if they got this, there is no reason for you to be attached to us getting reparations in our land.
All right, thank you, Original. I see, Brooke, I saw you just DM me. So if you want to come up here and share that information with the space as well, come on up here, put your hand up, and let everybody know real quick. If you get a chance, I saw you had DM me real quick. So if you get a chance to come back up here, definitely come up here, guys. Definitely, also we need your support as well too. So for those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Remember, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. If you do not have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal available as well. And we also have the actual Twitter membership as well too for $3 a month for those that want to support us monthly for just $3 a month. Just go to the profile page and click subscribe, and you can support us for just $3 a month. But also, like I said, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Hit the Cash App for those that are able to. For those that can't, we understand as well too. So if anybody that wants to support us and you're supporting the largest Black-owned, Black American news curation platform, that's $Newstoter, $Newstoter. $1, $2, any amount that you guys have will be greatly appreciated and put to use as well too. So let me go ahead and get to I believe it was Troubled and Rella, and then Brooke, I got you as well.
Hey, so apologies real quick for my little emotions and stuff. I hate when my tears betray me. I'm better at being angry. That's, I'm good in that lane. I'm not good with all these punk ass tears and emotions and stuff. But anyhow, Original, the people in Boston, they are very educated. There's so many different educational institutions, and I've always been around a lot of poets and different intellectual people there who are very well versed on the Black American experience. They know this already. The problem is, like you said, they've been around these other groups of Blacks for so long that to a certain degree they feel an obligation towards them. And at the same time, I'm going to be 100% honest. It's when I look at the makeup of my family, because I've bumped heads with my family on the subject on several occasions. When they first had announced the reparations committee, I posted on my Facebook page about it. We split some words. And then last night when I seen Toter had announced in the space, in the chat, about today's space, I posted online on my Facebook page again, asking what was going on, with the committee there in Boston, and mentioned the immigrants. And so I had a cousin DM me about that. The problem is with the few people, I'm gonna use my own family as an example because that's what I have to go on. Is there are a few people who are like me? They're kind of the black sheep, and so they haven't found love in their family, but they have found camaraderie with foreign Blacks who has been there for them more so than family has. And so when you have a lot of people who have been put into that situation and circumstance, there is that type of camaraderie. So you do feel like, well, they've been through A, B, and C, and so they deserve to have a little something too. And what we experienced in the past, shouldn't negate the fact that they should also be giving certain things. And I don't know if they're really looking at it how we're looking at it, but that one aspect doesn't really allow them to dig deeper or to dig further. And even if it does, they push that thought out of their mind because these are the only people who have my back when my own blood did. So there's that. My cousin always tell me I'm being divisive, and she made a comment last night that told me we don't separate our Blacks here like you all are trying to do. And we live in the real world. That's the comment that she made to me, like I live in Alice in Wonderland somewhere, like, oh, well, congratulations on you and your real world. I live in a real world too. I live in a real world with my neighborhood that I've lived in for almost 15 years is being gentrified out, and other foreigners are moving in. I live in a real world where when I go to apply for human resource jobs, they ask me if I'm bilingual because those are the ones that they want inside those positions. When I look for positions in the human resource world here where I live at now, they want you to, they're looking for human resource. There's an ass of jobs for them inside of these places that are, what were the people, not the Afghanistan people, the Ukrainians. They have a lot of positions for working in that area. So I live in the real world too. I don't know which world you all are living in, but we're both living in real worlds. We just have different experiences, but that doesn't negate what we've been saying here online about the reality for Black Americans. So I just wanted to just say that when I heard Original say if you need any people contacting people in Boston, it's hard contacting because there's such a large array of various types of people there. And I don't know if the ones who think on our level are surrounded by those who don't. And so sometimes that can drown your voice out. And there's just that. As far as the DeSantis situation, DeSantis can teach whatever he can inform them people to teach whatever it is that they want to teach. But why I don't know if they really recognize that why their children have been turning on them and rebelling so much is because they're realizing how much their parents have lied to them. And one of these days they're going to fully find out what it was that they did to the American Negroes to make us the way that we are, to make us fight the fights that we have to fight. Y'all, they want to keep constantly keeping us in these fights. But we're the descendants of the slaves you couldn't kill. So we're going to always fight. Yeah, we have these moments, like I have my moments where I'm tired of it. It's stressful. It makes me feel like not fighting anymore. But when I stop fighting, I know my sister Rella gonna kick the hell in. I know my sister Brooke gonna kick the hell in. I know my brother Black gonna kick the hell in. And when they get tired, I'm gonna pick it back up because that's how it works. So they better not count us out on the fight because we're gonna always fight. But while you're trying to teach the children about how the skills that we learned was beneficial to our own selves, teach them about the laws that you put in place that was written and both unwritten that made the skills that we learned beneficial to white wealth, beneficial to white folks, because teach them how you jailed us because of the skills we had that y'all did not have by the time we came out of slavery. Y'all didn't have those skills. Make sure you teach them that. Make sure you teach them how we was jailed and had to give up a whole year's pay when we decided we didn't want to work for Master so-and-so no more. How you kept us bound. Teach the children how you put our children back out in the fields. Teach your children, make sure they understand how when we were given these beneficial skills, how your lazy ass white women didn't want to clean their own house or take care of their own kids, and we was called back into the house to do these things for them. So make sure when you are teaching them things, you can teach them about our beneficial skills, but make sure you teach them all of it. We are in the age of information, and whether you teach it to them or not, they're going to fuck around and find out. And you're going to F around and find out the easy way, or you're going to find out the hard way, but goddamn it, you're going to find out. And I'm going to land on that. I'm tired of these people.
All right. Thank you, Trouble. And you're right. When we came out of slavery, we had all kind of skills. And not only that, they were strategic when they were picking their slaves as well too. They saw the actual skills that Black folks had and stuff like that. That's why they put them in certain positions and stuff like that. Everything that Black people did during slavery, it wasn't like they had to be taught everything. Some of the stuff just came naturally. They saw the ability to the ability for agriculture and things of that nature, the ability to build and everything else. So they saw it and they put it to use. So strategically, they picked their slaves out of different sections, different locations or whatever, whether it was the ones over there in Africa they brought over here, or the ones that was already here that they went ahead and had them specifically do certain tasks and jobs and stuff like that, because they already knew that they had the actual skill set to go ahead and do this kind of stuff. So let me go ahead real quick. And also, let me give a shout out to Rera and Tata as well, too. Thank you, ladies, for your contribution on Cash App. Let me go ahead and get to Rella. Got Rella, and I got my girl Brooke back up here as well, too. Go ahead, Rella.
I'm here. I just want to give, love definitely to the room and, trouble. You know what it is. We're gonna have our moment. I'm gonna call you because I just saw the message, in the background. And we're gonna have our moment. I'm gonna keep it G right now, for the most part. And I'll just say this: everything that you said is correct, and you already know I got you. We can't do this by ourselves. I don't know how else to tell everybody in the room. Like, when we tell people it's game time, this is not, we ain't just talking out the side of our asses and spending time on Twitter Spaces just to be on Twitter Spaces. This is a real live call to get off your ass, excuse me for cussing, now. Because for those who think that you're going to get by and we're just going to allow them to run its course and they're going to somehow wipe themselves out, it ain't going to happen.
What in the world?
I'm sorry, that was my blender.
Oh, like what?
It's not going to happen.
Okay.
It's not going to happen because the people are out organizing us. They're using immigration also. They're using immigration also to out organize us. So while they lie to those people, they are slowly erasing us at the same time. And they're hoping that not enough of us catch up in time. So, Original, I have a soft spot for you. And if there's something that we have to do on a collective level, we got to do it. Whoever we got to write, whoever we need to, those who can travel, and maybe travel in numbers to go up to Boston and to find out who's on the ground that you can get with to help sound the alarm to the people that are in Boston, or maybe join groups. If you can't do it on the ground, join virtual groups where you find people in Boston and start connecting. This is not about arguing with your people. This is about getting them into the understanding that if they don't get this message, to either relocate or get into the fight, it's over. It's done. We have sealed our fate for the next 2 to 5 years and beyond. I was on TikTok, and another Black woman who was about the Black, brown, POC, all this other BS, right? And she telling me, well, we need to stop spending and we need to just stop buying Jordans. And this is somebody who's supposed to be a Democrat. Listen to how their talking points are the same. And I said, you're going to tell a people who have to get into a position of economics to stop spending money just so that they can save money because you believe, because it worked for you to walk around looking like a gremlin, that's what everybody should do. I said, that's not how economics work. That's not how it works. I said, we actually are not in a position of authority. You do not see Black American businesses being ran where money can circulate and other groups of people can circulate their money in and out of our community. Re-industrialization has to be in the equation. That's the reason why slavery can be beneficial for other groups, because it wasn't beneficial for us. The skilled labor that our ancestors had, they beat, lynched, and literally genocided it out of our community. They told you, you can't grow crops. We're going to put bills in place so it makes it hard for you to farm. Oh, by the way, we're going to reduce the farming population by how many? Then we're going to steal land. Farmers who own chicken coops, land where they were growing chickens, land where they had cattle. The Mallorys cattle being taken unalived in the dead of night. Like when you look at these cycles of things that are happening, this is domestic terrorism. But you got somebody who got the same melanated skin as me trying to tell me you should not be getting your hair and nails done. You should not be spending your money X, Y, and Z. No, I just should be spending my money with people who offer those things, who are from my lineage. There's a difference. Because we have to get into the game of economics. It's not a game. And we got to get our people positioned so they can spend that money. A pair of Jordans shouldn't break you. I'm tired of people using that stupid ass slogan or that soundbite. You buying Jordans and shit. Buy a Jordan. Buy shoes. Find someone who wants to own a manufacturing shoe company and let's get them off the ground. I don't understand this shit. And then we got to sit here and, deal with the society norms of people wanting to say, well, put yourself in a little box. Oh, by the way, while you're in this little box, these people over here don't want you to have no reparations, you niggers. This is what we deal with every day. Every day. While other people get to freely be welcome to the governor's lawn for singing about domestic terrorism. Man, this got to be the worst nightmare ever that we're living in. The worst.
All right. Thank you, Miss Rella. Brooke was up here. What happened? Brooke is gone? Okay, maybe Brooke will come back. Brooke, you were up here, but okay. Well, Brooke, if you get a chance, come back up here. The company, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Oh, I thought there was someone before me and stuff like that. Okay. What's it called? Yeah, like even like today I woke up and, to a lot of noise, of course, people working on properties and stuff like that. And, I'm looking up and down the street and, I'm looking at several homes that are being built. This one was just one that I recorded because it was just, really close. But these people are the people that we're competing with. Now, the way that these people got it organized is they got one person got a construction company, right? One person got a cement company. Another person, they have different trade skills and they bring it all together rather than, like our nonprofit organization, we have all that. Like, we don't need another guy to do this and that unless we're like, hiring people. But, having more hands on deck, would be great. But, the most of the people that we get into our nonprofit and stuff like that are, various people who just want to do it for because they can write off their student loans and stuff like that. Part of their student loans program, they can write some of that debt off if they do nonprofit work. So, we do offer that, but it's mostly like white, Hispanic, a few black folks and stuff like that, that get involved. Not too sure if they're Black American or not. I know one might be African or something like that, but, these people are kicking our ass right now. Like, like we're working on one property right now. These people got 3, 4 set up and this is just one neighborhood. But they can't beat us at, getting contracts with the schools and the school districts and stuff because, our nonprofit has all that and it's tied to Habitat for Humanity and, properly funded and all that stuff. But what's it called? Yeah, we're competing with them. Like, this is something because when we go and fix up houses, we're mostly worried about like schools, churches, Black community. these people, they're doing the same thing, except for it's just their people. This house they're working on, it's another Hispanic person's house. So they're doing this for their people wherever they're at. But we need to be thinking more like this on one level when it comes to our communities and stuff like that. But we do need to get out from being number one spenders to number one manufacturers.
All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Real quick, guys, I want to ask you, Rella, Trouble, while I got you up here, Original, has anybody seen Professor?
No, I haven't really been online in spaces in the last couple of days. I haven't seen him.
Okay, because I hadn't,
No, I haven't seen them.
Professor's always he's always one of the first ones up in the spaces and stuff. So I haven't seen Professor lately. I don't know if anybody's seen Professor post anything lately, anything like that. But I haven't seen Professor. So if y'all see Professor, tell Professor I said what's up, man. It's been a little hot minute since
You was on the interstate trying to pick that baby up.
Hey, Original, I'm trying to laugh more, but I just went to the dentist today to get some fillers, and the left side of my mouth is like, oh, that stuff is actually wearing off or whatever, that numbing stuff. So I can't laugh too much. But oh man, we did have a space about that one the other night too. So yeah, I don't.
Told her my son just went and got two of his wisdom teeth pulled out yesterday. So when he came home, once we got his medicine from the pharmacy, he had a hydrocodone, and so he took that hydrocodone. When that sucker kicked in, that boy told me, "Mama, I feel like an airbender, like I could fly right now." I said, "Baby, you're not an airbender. You are not a Super Saiyan. You cannot do none of that shit you watching on TV."
Hey, and I still got wisdom teeth. They tell me they got to pull those too. So man, like yeah, like I said, I got to go get a crown and everything else as well too, man. So like I said, this thing I was in there for about a damn hour today, and yikes, the left side of my mouth, like I said, it's wearing off. It's sore though. That the actual cheek and everything is sore. So yeah, man. Like I said, if anybody see Professor though, man, tell him Professor take a little hiatus as well too. So we gotta holler at Professor, see Professor, he's okay and everything like that. Because Professor went into space yesterday, he went into space today. So I'm like, okay, yeah, hopefully Professor, sometimes people get ill, they got certain things with the family they got to take care of, but Professor, we definitely thinking about you, Professor, if you got there. So definitely come through when you get a chance or whatever. Is there anybody else in the space that wants to say something? Once again, guys, if you want to donate on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter, we won't tonight will be the last night. We'll be back on probably either Sunday or Monday. I like to put Sunday out there just in case you never know, but more than likely Monday. But if we do one Sunday, you guys know we'll send the notifications out there. So definitely for those that can attend the Sunday night space. I know everybody's with the family on Sunday. If we do one, definitely come out. If not, Monday, you guys know the regular time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well too. So anybody that wants to add something real quick or whatever, want to say something, like I said, also make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's the third on the left-hand side. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us to continue to grow the YouTube channel. If you guys are on some of the other social media platforms, make sure you guys share out the actual space as well too. Maybe you might have somebody on Facebook that might want to come over here and listen to the space as well too. But like I say, for those that want to donate, $Newstoter, $Newstoter, Venmo, PayPal, that's up in the Jumbotron. We have the membership for anybody that wants to join that. That's $3 a month. Anybody that wants to say anything, anybody wants to get anything in, they want to talk about the situation in Florida with the slavery. They want to talk about the Boston reparations and the situation going up there with the Black immigrants and the Black Americans, because we're not going to keep the space going too much longer. Like I said, we'll be back definitely Monday. Definitely, maybe possibly even Sunday, depending on what's what. But definitely Monday, we will be back. So if nobody's going to come and say anything, then I guess on that note, DJ, you there?
just in the background doing something. So yeah, again, don't listen to these tethers up here. They not from here. You know what I'm saying? I'm only 43 years old. I'm old enough to remember that it was only black and white in this country. So these tethers, or whatever they want to call themselves, I'm calling them tethers. It just is what the hell y'all are. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not entitled to no Negro freeman reparations. You ain't suffered in this country. You feel what I'm saying? You might have suffered in your particular country of origin where you come from, because in my opinion, anything post-Civil War, you from where you fucking from. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Newark, New Jersey, from the Weequahic tribe down the block. I don't know where you from in Haiti or Jamaica or the Congo or none of this shit. Yeah, our ancestors might have came from Africa, but I'm not an African, I'm an American. They call us Yankees all day, every day. Akata, Yankee, wild dog. Just just call us all types of racial slurs and just derogatory names. We don't got names for these jokers, bro. Tether is not a derogatory word. You know what I'm saying? That's just shit that we make up on the fly. You know how we do. You know what I'm saying? So when you look up the word tether, it don't say anything about a black immigrant or immigrant or anything. We just saying that because, hey, y'all trying to tetherize us. You know what I mean? Not terrorize us, but tetherize us. You know what I'm saying? So Boston, ain't nothing up in Boston other than some goddamn racism. All you gotta do is listen to what Mark Wahlberg be saying in his movies. He got a lot of slick shit out there coming out of his mouth about black people. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? And then what was the other situation? What was old boy named Joe Rogan when he had the situation he was going through? Joe Rogan originally born and raised in Newark. Born in Newark, but he was raised in Boston. So that's really your Boston side. It's telling you about how to be prejudiced. See what I'm saying, Joe Rogan? Because we don't do that shit over here in Jersey. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the Italians and the blacks, we might have had our issues with each other, but that's long past. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, when you got people saying, hey, look, these folks are entitled to because they suffered, you're going to have to show me how you suffered. You know, Bob Jean is not suffering. You know what I'm saying? That's not suffering, yo. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Patrick Leola, that's not suffering when your sister say, oh, I'm not black, I'm African. Y'all know what I mean. That's what she said at the news protest when they was protesting for her brother. You feel what I'm saying? Same thing with old boy that got killed by that white model down in Florida. Oh, fuck black women and all this other shit. But damn, we was over here caping for you. You know what I'm saying? Sticking up for you. When we found that shit out, all that support went out the window. And what his brother came online saying, oh, he didn't really mean any of that. Nigga, get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Y'all on your own, because Dr. John Henry Clark, our ancestor, been told us we are on our own. Dr. Anderson, our current living ancestor, and who we need to put a bubble around, has been saying these folks are not here to be friends with your black ass. They are coming for resources. Why didn't our elders and our ancestors that have passed on listen to Dr. Anderson? You know what I'm saying? Also, when it comes to Mark Morial, Yvette Cardinal been put him in the dirt. She put that knacker in the dirt, yo. You know what I'm saying? Y'all really need to go listen to them old Breaking Brown interviews on some real issue. You know what I mean? Keep it real. So at the end of the day, we don't owe anybody anything. But the real problem is that we got, again, we are the stagnant bunch. We sitting around waiting for other people to do shit for us when we should be doing it on our own. Yeah, original, we know these jokers got their own coalitions and CPACs and all this other stuff. Let them have it, because at the end of the day, they won't survive without our help. So with that being said, what is it that you are doing as a person, a reparationist? We all supposed to be reparationists up here, right? What are you doing every day to make sure people understand and know about reparations that are specifically for Negroes, Negro Americans? It ain't for no Haitian American. It ain't for no Congolese American. It ain't for no other Caribbean American. And matter of fact, let's bring up CARICOM since y'all brought that up, right? So to this day, 2023, CARICOM has yet to include us Americans, black Negro descendants of slaves, in the CARICOM reparations claim. And they didn't start talking about cash payments until we started talking about cash payments. So what does that tell you? They are following our lead. You know what I'm saying? So we don't even need to listen to these people. So when it comes to anything that got to do with our people, we got to start making sure we gatekeeping all this tether rhymes and stick joke, you know what I'm saying? Y'all didn't invent anything. You would have to show me the James Brown of Puerto Rico and the Curtis Blow of Jamaica, yo. They don't exist because y'all was listening to our music. You see what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, if we don't get off our tails, while Narcan and Cobra and the NAACP and the Black Caucus and all these other boule jokers, they doing for everybody else except for you. We continue to vote for these people while they do for everybody else. We advocate for everybody else except for ourselves. We don't mind shitting on each other as long as we can get an upper leg up with the white supremacists. So you got a choice to make moving forward. Either you're going to be about this shit full-chested or you ain't going to do it at all. Nah, you're there.
All right.
Newstoter, to add to DJ's point about the CARICOM, maybe we should insert ourselves. Maybe we should start demanding that they'll add us onto their claim and make them force them to tell us why we can't be added to their claim, and maybe they'll back the hell up off of our claim. Maybe then they'll start to get it, because we haven't been trying to insert ourselves in the CARICOM claim. But since they want to keep saying how the Africans sold Black Americans, since they want to keep edging on that point, and since they want to keep trying to confuse the American Negroes chattel slavery with what happened over in the Caribbean, because they said, well, the Caribbeans was a more brutal type of slavery. Well, we know that they took a lot of Americans who showed their ass over here and took them over to the Caribbeans to get them straight, to straighten them out. Did they bring them back? So they probably brought them back if they didn't straight up kill them over there. So maybe they had some babies over there. So maybe y'all do owe us some reparations too. So maybe we should be a part of their reparations claim. Maybe we should make that demand. Maybe then people will start to get that your claim is your claim and our claim is our claim. And if you don't want us added to yours, then maybe you should stop trying to get ours. And that's just it. Shit.
All right.
I hear you on that trouble. Let me answer that just 2 seconds.
Well, hold on real quick. Let me give a shout out to Carolyn too. Carolyn, thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Let me go ahead and go ahead, DJ. And then I see Shepherd. Shepherd, how you always come towards the end of the space?
Yeah, I just want to say I think that's a waste of time, trouble, for the simple fact we have been advocating to CARICOM to try to get into that. I don't know what the situation is, why they want to exclude us, and they excluded Haiti for years. So Haiti just recently got included, I think, in 2010, from 1970 something to 2010. Haiti was excluded also. So when you think about Haiti and you think about American Negroes, we the ones that ain't putting up with no bullshit. We were 1804 your ass. You know what I'm saying? In a heartbeat. And yeah, all of a sudden you can lock me up. I did it. You know what I'm saying? Because they playing with me. Stop playing with me. So Dominican, I'm not black trouble. I'm no black trouble. I'm Dominican. You feel what I'm saying? Don't call me black, mommy. You know what I'm saying? So these folks ain't got no inclusion or integration or want to patronize us. We've been seeing this shit for years up here in the north. So we on our own. Hopefully we understand this shit moving forward. Black state reparations. It's paid time. Pan-Africanism is dead. My bad, Shepherd. I just got to say that shit for the record. So again, CARICOM was not talking about cash payments until we start talking about cash payments. And then all of a sudden it became, oh, we want cash payments too. And let's not forget, when the Queen died and was that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, whatever their name is, they went down to Jamaica. What happened down there? Folks booing their ass, talking about reparations. When you go over to Zimbabwe now, you got folks over in Zimbabwe talking about they want their reparations for what America did to them. Yeah, that's cool. You can get it, brother, but not before us Negroes get it. Because we're the ones, again, what you said, we're putting in the work, right? We're doing the damn thing to make sure we get our check, because ain't nobody else going to make sure you get paid except for you. Well, go ahead, Chef.
Peace to the room, peace to everybody. Now I'm on Kelly time, man. I really ain't. I'm on social media maybe 2 hours out the whole day.
Oh, you out west still?
At nighttime.
Oh, okay. You on the West Coast
I'm on
still?
Cali time.
Okay.
Yeah. It's 7 o'clock. It's 7:12. So that's why I think I was on the East Coast before I dropped off, and I was catching you at 8 prompt. So
Yeah. Okay. So I get you on that.
Man, what are you talking about, WPI? CARICOM started in 2013. They was asking for compensation in 2013. Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote his biography about reparations for us and started everything with Yvette Carnell in 2015. Yvette Carnell started pushing reparations that became what everything is today in 2016. CARICOM was asking 3 years ahead of this current movement. What
What CARICOM was not doing was asking for reparations before Black nationalists and before Pan Africans, which started obviously in the 1800s with Cali House, in the 1900s with Queen Mother Moore, and then contemporarily with the movements y'all don't like, but you have to respect because they was out here doing reparations with NARC and Cobra. NARC and Cobra are not one or two movements. NARC is a coalition of movements, over 100 different ones. So you can't paint them as one thing. Though I disagree with Daniels and the other professor, and I disagree with a lot of the old heads in NARC and Cobra. Don't like their style, don't like their energy, don't like a lot of things about them, but they're just figureheads. They're not the actual grassroots, which has been put in a lot of work. To this day, not one reparations organization from started in 2016 has had bigger rallies, has had anything successful that didn't come exactly from the same talking points and the same reparation shit that we got from Cali House and Queen Mother Moore and all of that. But your timeline, though I understand what you're saying, your timeline just wrong because CARICOM is 2013. And as far as them getting stuff, us getting fucked, I really don't speak on stuff like that because, I mean, what's ours is ours, and nobody's going to get what's meant for us. That's in life. We're owed a debt, and we're going to get our debt if that's what God wants us to have, you know, and if not, God might want us to fight for it. Instead of all the back and forth with the Caribbeans and Africans or whoever else, we need to get more like the labor unions. I'm out here in Cali, and they in the streets. If motherfuckers could be in the street, grown women could be in the street, hotel workers could be in the street right now, and all they asking for is an extra $5 an hour, and they in the streets, then why, if we asking for billions, we not in the streets? The math ain't mathing. Like, the energy ain't energy. Like, it ain't, and the activists ain't activating. Something's wrong. If these here in 105-degree today, asking for an extra $5 fucking, that's their claim, and we ain't in the street, then we ain't doing what we supposed to be. So we need to get off of worrying about what other people getting and trying to take from it, especially if they Black like us. And we need to get out in the street and start pushing reparations and blocking traffic and doing everything that movements do when they serious. But right now, what we seeing, all the pull-ups from last year, where the September pull-ups this year? I don't see nobody talking about pulling up, and all these pull-ups outside. Had a rally last year. Had about 1,500, 2,000 people showed up. Half of them was Pan-African Black nationalists that fucked with Tariq because he was on that shit. Where was the action after that rally? Never happened. Had the rally, everybody was disrespected, a failed rally that was 2 or 3 weeks before Tariq's. Where's the action after that? No action. So everybody talking this shit, pull up on radio stations, ain't nobody doing no action. These motherfuckers in hotels and these unions, they in the fucking streets for extra few dollars an hour, not for $50,000, $100,000 lump sums, not for slavery. Could you imagine if they was the people who had slaves, they would be tearing shit up right now. If there was the people enslaved, if they going ham over an extra $5 an hour in 100 degrees heat, can you imagine if they was going ham over slavery, what they would be? They'd be flipping cars. So why we not flipping cars? Why we on the internet fucking fake gangbanging and shit, right? Throwing up colors but not doing no action. So until the reparations movement has some leaders who want to do more than just be on Twitter and be mad, who want to come outside in 100-degree heat and show motherfuckers that they're about that action, this shit ain't going nowhere.
Hey Shepard, because I was gonna ask, because I know a lot of times you say your little thing and then you run off real quick. So I was gonna ask you, are you gonna say your little rant and then you gonna run off like you normally always do, or what?
No, I don't run off. What are you talking about? But I listen to other people. I respond. Listen to everybody respond. I don't want to get into no argument match back and forth because that's bad energy, man.
But you know, but no, just on a serious side, you know, the actual thing up in Boston that, you know, they're doing the reparation, trying to set up a panel and all of that. But the main issue they're having is that they're saying right now that, you know, Black Americans want to have it for the descendant of slavery, And then you got other black people, immigrants, and they're entitled to the reparations as well too. So it's not that we're creating this straw man argument or this and that or whatever. You got a group of black people that's black Americans that send the slaves up there in Boston and say, hey, this is something that's entitled to us. And then you have another group of people who came, like they say, a very small percentage of immigrants was in this country, black immigrants prior to the 1980s, that's saying, hey, we deserve everything that you guys are going to get to. If y'all getting reparations, we want it as well.
I'll speak on that.
Okay.
Sure. Look. First, just acknowledge what I just said, right? Because a lot of times, like, you'll make a good point on top of a point that I just said, and then what I just finished saying gets swept under the rug, like nobody heard me say what I said. The leaders in reparations on our team, fuck what they want for 1 second. I'll get to that. We ain't outside. Hotel workers is outside for an extra $5, and we ain't outside for $1 billion. That don't make sense. That math is not math. Let's internalize what we not doing first before we go ahead and attack somebody else. Now, I'll speak on that right there. It's only two ways to get reparations. It's one way to do it harms-based, where you include people of other origins that were harmed because of housing and redlining who were here in the 1900s all the way to now. That's one way. The second way is to exclude people and not do harms-based and try to get it straight out the mud from back in the days, 1865, if you were here then. There's only two ways to do it. Clearly, the second way, the 1865 way, got a lot of problems, right? The first problem with that is the time exclusion stamp on it, right? The last time we tried to hit the banks and hit the insurance companies with the slavery claim, that it was thrown out with prejudice because they said that too much time had elapsed and that it was legal, right? The second way is what the Supreme Court is going to say already on that. So the harms-based way, you can't exclude Caribbeans because they was here in the 1900s. They got redlined, they got mass incarcerated, they was here. But it was only like 2%. So who gives a fuck if 2% of people, right? Well, what are we even talking about? We're talking about what? 3,000 extra black people of Caribbean descent going to get some? What is it going to be? 5,000? So it's 40 million of us and 10,000 of them will get something. So fucking what? If it gets me an extra $1 million check, I'll let 10,000 people get it if it works. So you only got two strategies. You can do one where you think, okay, we don't do redlining, we don't do mass incarceration, we don't do all the harms, environmental harms, trucks driving through our communities, real estate transactions that were fucked up. We don't do the banking fucked up, and we exclude Caribbeans and any Africans, or we do it the way from 1865. 1865 is the hardest way to do it because of the time limit. If we do the harms base, right, and we just look at it like what we can prove on paper that happened in 1950, 1960, 1970, 1980, got a better chance. 1957 Slum Clearance Act destroyed black business districts, and we can prove that. We can show that. But guess what? It destroyed maybe 1% of Caribbeans was involved in that, and 99% of us. Why shouldn't they get a fucking one? Why should we care? 1% of them get a check. It's much ado about nothing if you look at it from a harvest-based versus slavery-based way. That's my opinion.
Okay, I can respect your opinion. I disagree with your opinion because all the things that went with Native Americans, nobody said, well, Native Americans shouldn't get this because of Trail of Tears, and Native Americans shouldn't get this because of because people came over here and took their lands and murdered them and this and that, and it was 150 years ago and this and that. It was 120 years ago and this and that. Native Americans are still getting actual tangibles to this day. Now, maybe it's not what they deserve to get, but nonetheless, they still getting stuff. And also, I get what you're saying about the timestamp and this and that or whatever, like I say, but that timestamp doesn't apply to every certain group. It doesn't apply to every group because it doesn't apply to Native Americans. Native Americans are still getting things for treaties from over 100 years ago.
It's the reason why, though. The reason why is that they fought a war and they signed a treaty after the war, a wartime treaty that was ratified in Congress. That's why. We never fought a war. We never signed a treaty that guaranteed us what they got. We never got put on a reservation, even though we almost was on a reservation with Sherman's reservation and 40 acres and a mule. And if we had signed a treaty right If that had worked for us, then we would have gotten the same thing the Indians got. So that's just the difference in why.
We were United States citizens at that point. The 13th, 14th Amendment was actually instituted for the United States emancipated slaves who were considered the freedmen. And
if we were given the land, we would have probably been a sovereign citizen. We would have been sovereign citizens if we were given the land.
Actually, everybody does have sovereignty under the United States.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I understand that.
I know that's not what you're saying, but I'm.
Hold on one second, Rella. Hold on, Shepard.
I'm just answering.
Real quick, Shepard, go ahead and finish, and then Rella, you can go ahead and add something too. We're not going to keep the space going too much longer. But go ahead, Shepard. And then Rella, you can go ahead and.
It was a very simple reason why we are different from the Indians. We didn't fight a war. That is the simple answer. They got treaties from fighting the war. That is the reason. Instead of fighting the war, we were promised something that was never ratified past Congress. And that's the simple reason. I mean, if you look at all the Indian treaties, and they broke almost all the Indian treaties, right? But if you look at the Indian treaties, they were signed by blood. Like, Indians took blood from them. Indians scalped people. Indians went to war and earned those treaties through war. We took a different route as citizens, right? And you can debate whether that was the best way or the worst way, but this is what happened. We took a route through citizenship, like Brother said, through those amendments and everything else, and that deprived us from having the wartime benefits of fighting a war and getting a benefit. Everyone else who got reparations, including the Indians, because that's what they got, reparations for war, or the Hmong people fought with us in Vietnam. The Japanese were incarcerated before a war. The South Africans were in a deadly war, and they got reparations after the ANC won, right? They got that small amount of reparations. The Jews got a reparations from war, right? Every country, the fucking Ukrainians are trying to ask for reparations for war from Russia. And reparations is a wartime benefit. And when you fight a war,
Did you just say the Jews? Did you just say the Jews? Because the Jews weren't at war with America.
They got No. I said the Jews got reparations from Germany. They got
okay.
They got money. They got cash. Everybody in this planet who's ever got reparations or made reparations claim did so after war. So that's the difference between them and us.
Okay, so after war, we should have got it too after the Civil War. That would only been right, but we didn't get it.
We didn't fight the war against someone else. That's what I'm making a distinction.
What are you talking about? There was.
You don't understand what I'm saying. Because you don't understand what I'm saying doesn't mean what I'm saying is not right.
No, because we
fought as citizens.
Let me jump in.
We fought as citizens.
No, let me
brother. Okay, I will. But don't misconstrue what I said. We fought as citizens of the United States. We did not fight as a sovereign power against another sovereign power or a sovereign community against another sovereign nation.
At the time.
And the Jews didn't fight as a sovereign nation or a sovereign community against the Germans either. So, I mean.
That's why I'm just saying, I'm not like, that's why
but they got wartime reparations.
Then we should have got wartime reparations as well.
But we're not arguing. We're not arguing historical record. We're actually making a claim for harms, and the 1,200-page report that came out of California specifies that and breaks it down. And you can even add to that around the country, depending on what.
California.
Hold on,
Shepard. Now let her go ahead. Go ahead.
Hold on, because we're not going to get into the weeds of what you believe and what didn't happen. There are attorneys who are actually a part of the reparations report, the DOJ who put that together. That wasn't on the backs of just the organizations that are out here doing the work. And I don't appreciate the fact that you also said that just because you don't like a particular group of people, that they somehow had a failed reparations rally. If you have a rally and one or two people show up, you still are influencing one or two people. I think we got to get out of the mind.
I said it was referenced as.
Okay, let me finish.
I said something I didn't say.
Okay, so that's how it came.
Let her finish, Shepard.
She ain't gonna misquote.
I'm not misquoting you. I'm literally saying what I heard you say. If that's not what you meant, then you can respond to
I
that.
said it was called a
Shepherd,
valley.
but that does not make it right to keep repeating it. Is my point. That's my point. We've moved past that. There were rallies that happened that were beneficial, whether you like or people like the people who did them or not. My point is that should not have to be always pointed out when you're having these discussions, because it's a non-factor. It does not matter.
Now, Rella, you way off the topic.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to finish. I'm trying to conceptualize everything I heard from you. And what I'm hearing from you is you still want to have the argument about who were in a war and who wasn't in a war. Last I checked, my lineage, they fought in wars. And those wars were against people who actually were considered. They fought in wars against people who were declassified in the United States as rebels, who actually seceded from the United States, who had no benefits. That means that was a war that happened. The reason why we did not get the benefits and our ancestors did not get the full repair, which out of the Freedmen Bureau came from the War Department, because the changing of the guard was under a tyrant. So if we really want to have that conversation, we did not get our repair because the authority was not there. Andrew, hold on. Andrew, what are you talking about? Who is we? Because I know for a fact that my family fought.
Did not fight in a war.
What are you talking about?
They fought against the Confederate. What are you talking about? They fought against the Confederacy.
You know I'm not talking about the Confederates.
Who are you talking about then?
So they should have fought against the United States government, is what you... Hold on, because I want to ask this. So you're saying that you're saying that a bunch of former slaves should have went ahead and fought against the United States government at that time?
Hell yeah.
Okay, and then let me give you my summary of what would have happened. Them same rednecks that they just got beat, the Confederate, you'd have had the Confederate and the Union joining together against a bunch of niggas, and they would have slaughtered them.
Okay, can I finish? Can I also finish what I was saying? Can I finish what I was saying?
Go ahead, Rella. Go ahead, because then I'm going to move on.
Like, this is the stuff that I'm saying. You come in here and you try to throw people off with a lot of the points, the things that you believe, and they're just not true. At the end of the day, when people actually got into positions after Reconstruction, they were going into the fight. That means getting into democracy. That means getting into positions in their communities, in their states, to actually control the state. That means free people who had the ability to vote, they were now becoming a part of our country's democracy. And you know what happened? Andrew Johnson signed the amnesty bill like we talked about, bringing the Confederates back into the Union, which also allowed them to push for laws, regroup, and say the South will rise again. And what did they do? They did domestic terrorism at the same time and killed majority of the people that you said didn't fight. And they did. That's why I don't appreciate your position, because your position is wrong. It is wrong. It is not full circle. And it's not fair to a lot of people who hear that and they have doubts about reparations, but they want to stay in the weeds of, well, we didn't have a fight. Bullshit. You had all kinds of slave revolts. You had all kinds of people who were getting into positions where they were running into political power, but they were massacred out. That means we did not have authority. And if you think that somehow Black people at that time who were recovering from slavery, even with free people who didn't have no type of weaponry, who didn't have no type of, who didn't have no type of way to protect themselves.
200,000 deep with weapons. What are you talking about?
We were not. We were not. We were. Where? No.
Hey, Shepard, go ahead and let her finish. Rella, go ahead real quick. I'm going to let you finish because I'm going to be closing it out. I'm going to get to original and DJ, but go ahead and let her finish.
I want to know where. I want to know where. Give me a tape. No. You're not going to give no broad-ass number. Give me the state. Where? Okay, where?
Quiet for a second.
Where?
Be quiet for a second. We were 179,000.
Don't tell me to be quiet for a second, because you couldn't even be quiet while I was talking. So now.
I did.
You were not. Don't disrespect me like that, Shepard.
I did. You are.
Listen, go ahead and let her finish, because like I say, we're gonna go ahead and move it to the next speaker, and then we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna be closing the space out in a second. Rella, I'm gonna give you 50 seconds, and then because we got original and D, and I actually was gonna close the space out. And Shepard, you came up in here late, so went ahead and let you get it in. But Rella, go ahead and make your point, so I can go ahead and get the original and DJ.
Reparations is not notated and documented in reparations, and no one's going to sit here and turn lineage reparations into a immigrant takes all, because just so that we can get to the bag. It's lineage for a reason. It's for slavery, meaning that if you were here and you can account during the time frame they given, the requirements given, then you are, again, if you were not qualified, it's simple as that. Trying to make it seem like we should just be opening up our arms because there was a small percentage of people from the Caribbean here, and somehow we're supposed to be magically waving wands because of that small percentage. If there is documentation that supports the claims of harms, that would include people who had benefited from those harms, or who were harmed in those ways, and they qualify, fine. But you're not going to sit here and try to say we should be opening up the door for the small percentage just so we can get the win. That takes away from the fact that we're talking about slavery reparations. Who were the people who were harmed, not the people who were harmed and those who were there. That's not, no. Who would do that?
All right, Rella. Let me go ahead.
Can I just get my last word in? She said a lot.
No, I'm finna go to original because y'all both was going back and forth. Let me go to. I'm going to original, and then I'll get back to you when I get it.
That's why if I can't talk, then you let her fill up.
You've been going back and forth with it. What are you talking about? Both of y'all. I'm trying to go ahead and.
She said some wrong history. You need to let me straighten out.
Okay, well I'll get let me get the original because it's just not gonna be just y'all going back and forth. Go ahead, original.
Well, just let me straighten out the history.
Hey, I'm gonna give you 1 minute, Shepard. I'm gonna give you 1 minute.
Thank you, brother.
And that's it. And when you don't, I'm gonna mute you.
Thank you. Look, we had 179,000 soldiers in the Union. When we did not get the 40 acres and a mule, we had guns, we had the dynamite, we were the ones building the forts, we had all of the knowledge of how to navigate the rivers, we were the ones who taught them how to do half the shit that they did in the Union. We had black spies in the Union. We stole boats from the Confederacy that could level whole cities. We were at the ports doing all the work. We did everything for the Union. We could have fought. Don't tell me we didn't have any guns. We had all the fucking guns. We worked in the gun manufacturer in Colt and Remington. You don't know what you're talking about. Stop talking to me like you do. Like you just don't. One man stole one Confederate boat, a destroyer, right? John Smalls or something, right? That one boat could have destroyed the whole city of Havana. Gunships could destroy whole cities, and we had a lot of knowledge on how to build them and to navigate the waterways and to pilot them. So we could have stolen a lot of boats. We could have done a lot of guerrilla warfare. We could have fought. Even after the Confederacy lost, they still fought a guerrilla warfare. So don't tell me slaves couldn't fight. They put 40,000 of us to die in the devil's punch bowl. I'd rather them 40,000 men, women, and children have fought and clawed the eyes out of these motherfuckers than died from disease in the devil's punch bowl.
Okay, Shepard, I gave you a minute, so let me go ahead and go to original. Go ahead, original.
Let me say this, Newstoter. Now, I was looking up. Initially, I first heard about CARICOM wasn't started in 2013. CARICOM. Well, I initially heard about CARICOM back in the 90s, and so, but what we did not know is, and like in Cobra, we did not know that in Cobra was an operative group. Now, back in the 90s, when we would hear them talk about reparations, they would not talk about cash payments. They would talk about, education and healthcare and all kind of community stuff, but they were not specific because they are operative. And so this CARICOM it said on their website that it started in '73 with this treaty of Chickamauga, if I pronounced right, Chickamauga. And what I want to say is because, see, I think what happening is that these other demographics of black people, they feel that they are entitled to double dip. They want to get what they want for themselves, and they want to get what we have going for ourselves. Unfortunately, we're not going to let them double dip with us. If they want to double dip, find another group to double dip with, because we're not the one. You know. And as far as fighting, because looking at some of the history, well, by now it has been revealed that Black Americans are the true Indians of this country. So that other group is nothing but a distraction to make people believe something that's not true. So that other group who call themselves Indians, they got our money. Is basically what it is. You got what's that book? Unexpected Faces in Ancient America. From 15,000 BC or something like that. But yeah, you got the other brother that wrote this book, The First American Were African. So we were already here. So the question becomes, who are these damn people that call themselves Indians? And then people want to get upset about it. But no. No one, and see, in Cobra, none of these groups, they were speaking about cash payments until the Grassroots made it a hot item. Then they wanted to come in and want to try to take over. But I would say the only reason that they're doing what they're doing because they're being backed by the enemy's money. Them in Cobra, Knock, and the rest of them, they're being backed by the enemy's money. But all we got to do is I'm telling you, all we got to do is just organize a little bit. And we will win the same way that we, the black community caused KABC in Los Angeles, and I was involved in this, we caused them to lose over $100 million in advertising revenue over a little over 10 years. Because they couldn't figure out how we were doing what we were doing. And that's all we got to do. This is part of organization.
Original. I don't mean to cut you off, but let me go get to the next speaker because we're not going to keep this space open. I didn't mean to keep it open that long, so let me go ahead and get the Black Majority State real quick, DJ, and then we closing it out for the night. Go ahead, Black.
Okay, thanks, man. I didn't want to come up to speak, but I do want to clarify something that our ancestors had intelligence. They understood the circumstances that they were under. And so to immediately turn around and fight the Union would have likely, as you stated, Newstoter, could have really actually been committing suicide because just as today, you're not just fighting the United States. England, Great Britain, was involved in the war. Now, they were on the Confederate side. However, if you have this uprising amongst the Black American population in the country, it would have given them leverage to quickly shift to a different perspective because the Confederates would have been saying, aha, you see, we told you we were right. And then not only that, the Russians were on the Union side, so the Russians would have immediately jumped in on their side. So we're never just fighting against one enemy. We're always fighting against this whole entire global white supremacist system, and our people understood that, which is why they wouldn't sacrifice their elders and their children in that way. They understood the long game. We have to complete the mission. Thank you so much.
And not only that, Black, thank you, but you would also have France.
Dumbass wolf.
You'd have France.
Your mama. Shut the fuck up.
Who is that speaking? Who was that just spoke? I don't even know who the hell was that.
Stay in your microphones, though, man. You go ahead with the conversation.
you know.
I don't even know who that was that said something, but yeah, you would have had not only that, you'd have had all the Western powers over there coming over to help because they had colonies and everything else in this country as well too. So they all would have been coming over here to lend a helping hand. Everybody coming up to speak, guys. We finna get ready to close the space out. So I'm sorry everybody got in late, but we getting ready to close it out. I'm gonna let DJ say one thing and then we closing it out for the night. Go ahead, DJ, real quick.
No, we agree to agree, except for what most Shepherd said. So, yeah, CARICOM started in 73, and they've been advocating for reparations for everyone in the Caribbean, except for the Haitians and the American Negroes. They didn't start advocating for the Haitians until about 2010, but they have yet to include us. Good night.
All right. On that note, guys, appreciate everybody coming out.
Space open, Toda. Let DJ run the space. Keep it open. We having fun.
Keep nothing open. Next time, come in earlier, bro.
Can I say something real quick, though, Newstoter?
Who is that speaking?
Keep the space open.
Nah, we
You're such an old man. What you in a lounge chair, nigga? Come on.
We getting up out of the space.
In your mouth, wolf.
We getting up out of the space. We getting up out of the space, guys. We can have a part 2 to this Sunday night. We'll have a part 2, and everybody can go ahead and get it in. So part 2, this will be a part 2 Saturday, Sunday night. We'll have a part 2 to this, everybody. So on that note, everybody be easy. Take care. We'll see you guys Sunday night for the part 2. I'll go ahead and create the space. Everybody come up in, and then we'll see y'all then. So everybody have a good night. Part 2 will be Sunday night. Thank you.
Peace, peace, peace.